All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, folks, please. Thank you.
You got a good seat there.
Let me, as required by, pardon me? As required by law, the town may audio or video record this meeting. Any person intending to either audio or video record this open session is required to inform the chair.
Mr. Chairman, I may be recording portions of this meeting.
Thank you. And you are?
Alan Pollock with the Cape Cod Chronicle.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, let's go into the public announcements. I'd like to do a couple of things before we begin. First of all, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission. Leah Mercurio, Vice Chair, Frank Crawley, John Mahan, Phyllis Thompson's in the corner over there, and Dave Nixon. Michael Hurley is not with us tonight. He's got some personal business that he's attending to. I'd like to introduce some of the guests that are here this evening as well. Joe Powers in back, Town Administrator. Julie Kavanaugh, Select Board Member. Julie is also the representative, the liaison, the representative from the board to the Rec Commission. She comes to our meetings to hear what's going on and to share her thoughts with us as we with her. And we have Jeff Handler, Select Board Member in the corner. Okay. Public comments guest is Bianca. Where is Bianca?
Right here.
Bianca, would you like to make a comment or two? And now, are you going to be the spokesperson for your the town's groups?
Not necessarily.
Right.
There's a few of us. Lauren over here, Kristen here.
Okay.
So.
All right, Bianca Caswell,
Would you like me to start?
please, would you come up, state your name, and so we have it for the record. Before you go on, I'd like to have a public hearing meeting guidelines. I'd like you to state your name, limit your comments to 3 minutes so we give everyone a chance, an opportunity to speak. Please try not to be repetitive. If you hear one person speaking the same thing, let's not go on and be redundant about it. We'll schedule about 30 minutes for the hearing, okay? So we give everybody a chance to have a say and express yourself accordingly. We want to thank you all for coming and being with us tonight. We're very anxious to hear your concerns, and hopefully we keep an open dialogue going as we move forward. Again, the commission is always open for any of our meetings. You're always welcome. The door is always open. Come on in. Let's hear from you, and if there are any thoughts or concerns or ideas that you want to bring forth, we'd love to hear from you, okay? So let's move forward. Bianca.
Thank you. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for being here today and giving me the opportunity to speak about something I feel so passionate about, our recreation department and the residents of this community. For those who don't know me, my name is Bianca Caswell, and I am a resident of Harwich. Both my husband and I grew up here. We moved away in 2010 when he joined the military, but we moved back in 2016 to raise our children. I am a full-time working mother. I have 2 children, Jack, 11, a 5th grader at Monomoy Regional Middle School, and Sam, 9, a 3rd grader at Harwich Elementary School. I am here on their behalf. For those who are unaware, like I was until recently, our town charter has a section outlining the responsibilities of this commission, and I'd like to read an excerpt from that section for you now. The commission shall develop and carry out programs designed to meet the opportunities, challenges, and problems of youth in the town of Harwich. It shall be responsible for the development of comprehensive, year-round, indoor, and outdoor recreation programs and policies, including management of beach and pond activities and properties. These policies and programs shall be designed to meet the recreational needs of children, youth, adults, and the elderly. Furthermore, I'd like to read you a piece from the Recreation Department's mission statement, located on the official town website. To enhance the quality of life, for the residents of the town of Harwich by providing a wide range of recreational and leisure activities reflecting the full age range of the community to offer healthy opportunities to develop physical, mentally, and emotionally from youth to adulthood and throughout a lifetime. Through personal experience and conversations with other residents and parents, it's become apparent that the recreation department that many of us grew up so fondly remembering is a shadow of what it once was. It seems obvious that we are investing in the needs of the few rather than the needs of the many. My goal coming here is to change that, to open up a discussion between the Recreation Department, the Recreation and Youth Commission, our local government, and the residents. There's many parents here tonight, and I'm so glad to see you all here. I don't want to take up too much time because more of you can speak to more specific needs and challenges. I do want to note that I find 4 areas that we need to address. Communication or lack thereof between the residents and the Recreation Department staff. The communication has been difficult at best and dismissive at worst. Our opinions, suggestions, and concerns have been overlooked or placated. For example, I suggested to multiple recreation staff members back in February of this year a meeting between the Recreation Department and parents to better understand the needs that are or are not being met. And I regret not pushing that forward more. Let's see. We could get into social media and lack thereof of any technology and information for parents about programming, operational hours, open gym, after-school programs, the lack of communication between the Recreation Department and other departments, whether it be the schools, the PTO, the school council, private businesses, other facilities like 204, which as of right now, there is no programming for youth at 204. Clubs like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, or other departments like Youth and Family Services, Conservation, or the community center itself. I'd also like to know where the minutes are for the Recreation and Youth Commission meetings for the past 2 years. Except for October of 2022, I haven't been able to find anything for this year to date. The idea of a booster club was put in place, and I think that that is something we need to look into as well. Programming is lacking, to say the least. Currently, there are 3 youth programs, not including the open gym, after school, and Hoops with Noop. And that would be a soccer clinic for grades 1 and 2, run by Kristen Wentworth, field hockey for K and 1, and Hoops with Noop. For comparison, there are 8 adult rec programs in session, 5 located at the Harwich Community Center in the game room and gym, 1 at Brooks Park, 1 at 204, and 1 private program, much like Hoops with Noop, which uses community resources. 3 of these 8 programs are pickleball. We as residents must assume some responsibility for this shortcoming. We've accepted what has been the easier option of finding programs and resources from neighboring towns like Brewster, Chatham, Dennis, Yarmouth, and Wellfleet, or private clubs like Monomoy Youth Soccer, Cape Coastal Baseball, Lower Cape Youth Lacrosse, or Lower Cape Bluefins, rather than try to make changes here in Harwich. Surrounding towns have been providing more age range, from T-ball in Brewster for toddlers 3 and up to family karate at the Chatham Community Center. I would like to note that recreational activities for teens are non-existent across the Cape. This has been a problem for decades. On the other end of the spectrum, programs for the younger kids, ages 0 to 5, are also missing. I'd like to thank Lucy Gilmore, Ann Carpenter, and Carolyn Carey for making sure that they have something to do. More variety. Other towns are providing things like skating, cupcake decorating, family golf tournaments, kids yoga, beginning wilderness skills, community events, movie nights, bingo games, field days, campouts, nature walks. More quality programming, specifically organization and communication of programs and activities, start times and dates, team rosters, schedule, sign up, volunteer sign up, and financial aid access. Staffing has also been an issue and a topic that has been brought up multiple times. I will leave that to Town Administrator and the Recreation and Youth Commission. I will not get into that right now. And then finally, budget. Do we have the money? Do we have the time? Do we have the willingness and the energy to do something about this problem? So please feel free to speak up and say anything, anyone. I really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, appreciate it. Who would like to speak next, please? State your name, 3 minutes, if we can state.
Yeah, I'll be quick. My name is Lauren Bombanti. I spoke at a selectmen's meeting, and I'm happy to be here tonight. My son we're full-time residents here at the Cape. He's been here his whole life. And I think that there's two issues to address. I don't want to look necessarily back, but I want to look forward and see what we can do to pull this together. I want to know why we don't have the things that the other towns are offering. If you go to Barnstable, there are upwards of 23 programs through their youth department. Chatham, who I've mentioned before, is a significantly smaller town, but they are offering 8 programs. So I'm curious as to why we are lacking and how, as parents, we can help. Because it can't be just one person facilitating everything. I think that there's a lot of faces here tonight, and we all are here not to point fingers, but to see where we can go forward and how we can help make this a better community, going back to your mission statement with a variety of activities for children, not just one sport, one season. We all know baseball happens every spring. Not every kid wants to play baseball. In the winter, we know basketball happens in the winter. Noop does an amazing job. His basketball programs are so appreciated, and he does so much coordinating and making it fun for kids. What about the kids that don't play basketball? I know that some resources, I don't know if they've been looked into, but we're seeing other towns through their community centers and their recreation departments, they're contracting with the skating rink in Orleans. They are contracting with the swim lessons at the Y. Is there a way, if we don't have the staffing, because I know it is a concern, I've heard it's a concern, and we want to help make sure that there is enough staff to run these programs. I understand one person can't be in 5 places at one time. That seems logical to me. But can our recreation department look to other facilities and say, hey, at what cost could we run a program through there? If you go to the skating rink, it doesn't require the rec staff to be there, but we're paying through the rec department because they have contracted a lower price, so these lessons are accessible for kids. I love to see more of those opportunities for our kids, and to have a two-way dialogue, not the parents coming here and saying, this is a problem, but also letting us know what we can do to help you to make a positive change in our community. Thank you.
Anyone else, please? Sir.
My name is Jeff Marino. I live in Harwich now. I grew up in Brewster. My thing is, growing up in Brewster, we used to play t-ball, farm league, hockey, everything. I mean, grew up playing against the handlers, and every town played the other towns. I did t-ball this year, 2 years ago, and we just played in the back fields. Brewster has t-ball, Orleans has t-ball. Why are we not playing against the other towns? I know Chatham, she mentioned something about the hockey. They're doing a learn to skate. Why doesn't, we all feared playing Harwich in high school because the kids growing up, they were good. Why don't we have that for Harwich kids? We can't skate on the cranberry bogs anymore. So the other thing we do is my 7-year-old soon-to-be plays flag football. That's in Marston's Mills. Why am I driving there? There's Brewster, Chatham, Orleans, Dennis, Yarmouth, Eastham, Wellfleet. The NFL sponsors that. How can we get that here? You go up there, there's 30 kids from Chatham and Harwich playing in that. And it's all volunteer driven. It's a great organization. I would love to see that being played on the front field of, Monomoy High School. All I'm trying to do is, I'll do whatever I can to help. I'll volunteer to coach on my, if I have the time to do it. I don't know football, so please don't ask. But what can we do to get all the towns playing against each other again? Is it reaching out? You know, I grew up with a guy that runs Brewster. We could talk to him. Orleans, whatever we can do to help. You know, I'll work with Jeff. I'll work with Eric. You know, just please bring sports back. It's a very important thing. So
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else, please?
How's everybody doing? My name's Seth DeMontigny. My problem with the rec here, it seems like it's, you know, more or less, it's like the beginning of hopefully turning around what I think is a larger problem just with the youth in general in this town. When I was a kid, we used to have a skate park over here. The skate park got run down, replaced with pickleball, of course. You know, we at one point had one of the best playgrounds in the entire Cape Cod, the Castle in the Clouds. It needed repair, got torn down, got replaced with a playground that could probably fit in this room. I don't think there's a single parent that's gonna say that it's up to snuff or, you know, all that great, to be honest. I appreciate having it. I know some of the kids went to school and didn't have the playground for a few years, so, you know, we appreciate what's there. But there just seems to be several shortcomings, whatever you want to call it, with the youth in this town. You know, I've looked at the calendar of events. That's not necessarily the rec department, but it's the community center's calendar of events. I planned on bringing it here with highlighted everything that my kids could participate in on that calendar. And there wasn't a single thing except for maybe a couple words in the corner, you know, about open gym. I'd like to see the open gym open more. When the gym's there and not being used, could it be open? You know, the vending machines over here they used to work. When my son turned old enough to come here and use the building, you know, 3 or so years ago, there was a few things in the vending machine. Occasionally, you'd hit the button, it wouldn't work that well. Whatever. There was some options. The machines, you know, stopped performing. Apparently, they removed them. They don't even get replaced. You know, it's like a kid showing up and being able to choose his own granola bar or Powerade or whatever it is, you know, puts a smile on their face. You know, I'd like to see just the kids be prioritized in this town. I understand town meetings, people show up, the people that vote for what they want, which tends to be the elderly, you know, stuff. The pickleball obviously is dominating Cape Cod. But I just like to, my message is just don't forget about the youth. Like, the youth is what's going to drive this town forward. Like we said, we want to move forward and not backward. So don't forget the youth. And that's my message.
Others, please. There are others.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Turco. My husband, born and raised here in Harwich. My father-in-law is a very successful coach there in Barnstable High School. I want to talk about the cost of what I see for some of our youth programs that were just brought up. I noticed a few posts on the rec page yesterday, which was fantastic. We finally had a little bit of communication and, you know, in our form, our millennial form. I noticed that on there, that pickleball, which runs from October through May, they have 2 sessions a week, and you can play unlimited sessions from October to May for $75. That, if I did the math correctly, is about 64 sessions for $75. Y'all just posted a new basketball clinic for our kindergarten, first, and second grade, which costs $50 for 6 sessions. Not 60, like the pickleball for $75, but 6 sessions, 1-hour clinics of basketball for $50, when we all know that housing is a crisis right here in Harwich, all over Cape. That food, I mean, can we give our youth something that doesn't cost so much? We would have more here. We, my husband and I, are more than happy to volunteer. When we first moved back here, it was to raise our children, we noticed that all the programs were in Chatham. I just thought that was the thing. I didn't grow up here. But indeed, my husband talked about how magnificent the programs were here in Harwich. And he graduated in 2003. A few people here have graduated in 2009, and the programs were still strong. So I'm not sure what happened, but let's build it back up. It shouldn't be the youth versus the senior programs, because we are Harwich and we have enough money to provide for all. It should be seniors and youth. Everything, all the money should be out for everyone. That's really all I have to say.
Anyone else, please? Come on. Come.
My name is Jolene Moresti, and I'll just piggyback on the cost since I just did some math. My son attends the after-school rec program 4 days a week. That session cost me $900 from September to December 22nd. By comparison, if I had enrolled my son in the Chatham rec department, which he goes to when he needs to, I would have spent $210 less, including the half-day coverage that was offered at a slightly additional charge because they went on 2 really big field trips. So from after-school perspective, I have a really hard time with the no coverage of the 2 half-days that occur. It's only twice a year, but it happens every year. It should be an easy thing to plan for and be attended by staff. And the no programming over the vacations, April and February. So there are special events that run, but there's no coverage for families who are working and not going on vacation. But I just thought that in addition to the additional cost of $50 for most of the programming, when I look at Chatham as being even a non-resident, I'm paying $35 for any of the programs there. Brewster's $35 for most of their programs. Most of the other towns are about $35 for their residents. But I thought $210 was not a small amount of money given Chatham is offering me snack when my child arrives, homework help when my child arrives, scheduled activities other than just gym time. And I think that the lack of awareness for programming is another thing I'd like to say. I sign my children up for the youth rec department in Yarmouth for their summer program every summer. I sign up in January. I know by January where my kids are going for the summer, and I have to have that for scheduling. I signed up my son for soccer early August, end of July, because I knew that's when the program was opening. I didn't know 2 weeks before. I knew 6 weeks before. I think that those things are definitely important to have 2 months, 3 months, something big like a summer program, 4 or 5 months. Other towns are putting out their information so that parents are planning and knowing what they have coverage for. And that's it.
Hello, Abby McGillen. Pardon my appearance, we were at the playground before I came here. Just to kind of piggyback on everything, one thing about too the summer youth program in general, I'm sorry, we need to keep it to Harwich residents. Our Harwich kids cannot get into our summer programs because they are filled up by all the people who come here for 2 to 3 weeks out of the summer, don't live here, don't pay our taxes, don't do anything, don't contribute to our community. My kid, I have to pay $40 an hour for a babysitter to provide a living where I make $40 an hour at work. How is that logistic? So it's just kind of another thing where like our youth are really overlooked. But I agree as well. It does need to be our youth through the preteens, teenagers, everything else. I emailed 4 days ago saying I want to coach this winter. I haven't heard back. I am actually coaching at the high school this winter for the varsity girls basketball team. And we're trying to set up a youth clinic that will be run by the varsity girls basketball team for our youth, for the elementary and middle schoolers, to make sure that they get more attention. It'll be free because we're sick of it. We're sick of it. I'm sick of it. I played all my sports here. My dad coached. I know I said this at the select board meeting. I want to coach. I know Seth will coach. I know Jeff will coach. I know Tiffany will coach. I don't know everyone's names, but I'm sure you guys would all coach too. Sorry. You know, I just think to say we don't have the staff, you have so many parents that want to volunteer. So many parents. It can be all volunteer driven. It really can. And this is open communication. I love the open communication. I'm going to say this, I'm going to end with this, because this is the most disappointing thing this evening. Every single person has looked, paid such good attention. There's been open communication, receptive. The entire time since the meeting has started, Eric has not looked at one of us and has shook his head the entire time, and it is so disappointing. I'm sorry, that's disrespectful. We're here for a change.
I'm taking minutes.
And
I have to take minutes.
you shook your head a lot of things Bianca said and Tiffany and everything else. It was rude.
We want to keep our decorum.
Hi, my name's Kristen Wentworth. I have 3 kids in town. My oldest daughter just started at the kindergarten, and I have 2 3-year-olds as well. We are business owners in town. We love Harwich. We did not grow up here, but we did grow up in towns that had some pretty cool programming, big towns and small towns. I'm also coaching right now, I'm sure you guys have probably heard, the K1 and 2 soccer program. We have about 10 kids. I find that to be a little disappointing. The entire town of Harwich, kindergarten, first and second grade, 10 children. That's unacceptable. And part of that is, I know personally, I was trying to get to Harwich because I'm like, oh, I know DY has the programs. I work in Dennis. So I'm looking around and I see signs everywhere, marketing, DY soccer signups, DY soccer signups. It doesn't have to be social media. It should be. That's our age that we live in. I'm not great on Facebook. I'm not a huge person in that world. But it has to be there. But it also can be other places too. I know now it's going out in the PTO. That's great. Accessible through the school in a relatively timely manner. I did meet with Eric. We talked about when these things need to come out. The DY soccer, and I'm just going to that as a specific example, but this is all encompassing. This is not just there. That came out in end of August. And then we didn't come out with anything until mid-September. And I had to keep calling, and being persistent about when is this coming out. And I was just told it's a rough draft, we're working on a rough draft. For how long does it take to put up a rough draft? That was a month later, and I'm then calling and it's still not up. So I'm going to the rec department, and I actually stopped in and I was like, guys, am I missing something? I'm new to this. I have a kindergartner. This is her first time doing it. Maybe it's me. Nope, it's just not done yet, but it should be. Okay, it finally came out. There were typos. There were no descriptions of anything. There were no links to registration. There were no links to pay. As just a reference, I did, we signed our kids up for T-ball because they had a 3 to 5-year-old T-ball in Yarmouth. So we signed up for that for the kids, and they're all excited. They're getting their T-shirts. They're part of a team, which I'm going to get to as an important, really important part of kids' lives. We sign up for that. We go to that. Again, it's parent run. Parents are volunteers, but when you go to register, you register as soon as you're on there. Immediately, are you interested in coaching? Yes or no? If you're interested in coaching, immediate link to a Corey check. You go right through the Corey check, and then they contact you to be a coach. I was actually told, no, we have too many coaches. We don't need you. Which, fine. I don't know T-ball all that well, but again, the kids had a blast, and it was probably 50 kids total, and that was 3 to 5-year-olds. We offer nothing for 3 to 5-year-old kids here, nothing. And it's instructional. So they had 4 stations. The kids learn basic skills, and they alternate through. I think maybe a member of the rec department was there to oversee, but it was parents running. Grandparents were also there helping to coach, which was so cool to see. Again, that continuum, which I think we've all sort of touched on, is grandparents can also be involved. Other older community members might want to be involved. It doesn't have to be just parents, but you have to have some way of organizing those people so that they can help. I know in terms of barriers, when we've been brainstorming this, my husband and I, we sit at home and this is what we do. We're how can we fix these? We are very much action item people. So if you give us something as a barrier, we're going to address that and figure out, okay, is money an issue? Is staffing an issue? These are all things that have presented as barriers to us. So I kind of said, what about a booster club? We'll organize fundraisers. We'll organize the parents. Hey, come meet. Are there programs that aren't happening that you want to see happening? And then maybe we tie that in with you folks and say, how can we all work together? I think ultimately, you know, to point a finger at all the money's going to the old people playing pickleball. Pickleball is a fantastic sport. And I love that our older people are playing pickleball because as a physical therapist, that's fantastic. And we have the best older people in our community. That's something we should be proud of. But also those people can teach our youth pickleball and we can take advantage of that. So instead of seeing it as such a negative, let's make it a positive where we can incorporate everyone. In terms of the money, I just want to touch on this because I know this was something that was brought up in terms of other programs that are being offered. We know that we're paying a lot of money for our kids comparatively to other towns, and we're getting a lot less. I'm going to give an example of the soccer again because I know that. I'm sure it's across the board. Soccer is $50 per kid. I had 10 kids. They did not receive anything. I just got notice that we were going to have medals for them at the very end. There was no notice that I didn't know any of that. I didn't know that we were going to even have that. My husband and I said, this is ridiculous. We're getting them t-shirts. Every other town, and I'm not doing this to toot our own horn. Please don't take it as that. This is like, you know what? These kids need to have a sense of community. They need to be proud of where they're from. Harwich soccer across the front. You better believe the first 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we saw pictures at the kindergarten and through the elementary school level, 3 different kids wearing that shirt. And this is 10 kids. That's like, you have no idea how much joy that brings me. But because they're understanding the sense of team and teamwork and pride in their community. So if you think about even today, I'll give an example. My daughter came home and she goes, oh, I saw Sophie at school today. Sophie's on her soccer team in a different classroom, recognized her, and she knew my name, Mommy. That's amazing. As a business owner and someone who's been in management for 15 years, I know I probably look younger than that, but I cannot tell you how important team is, and we preach it to our incoming staff constantly. That's what's going to help you to grow in a sense of teamwork at a young age and being part of something that's bigger than you and seeing people around town with, oh, Harwich soccer, they play too. That's so cool. I have so many other things that I want to say, but I'm going to say, I just want one other thing. If it is a matter of, I know there's been talk of like, we don't want this to be only volunteer run, which again, I think we're proving that if we can organize those volunteers, you've got that. But if you don't want that, there are other programs such as a program called Viking Sports. There's another one called FAST, F-A-S-T. Those are programs that offer the ability to organize those sports and activities for you. So if we have the money, because I was told money's not an issue. If money is not an issue, then okay, let's use these others, if staffing's the issue. But if it is an issue, then let's do the booster club. So again, I think and maybe I'm speaking for people out of turn, but I think for me, we're looking for action and action items, and we are happy to take action on that and be held responsible to that. But we need action moving forward.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Are there any others that would like to speak? I'd like to do maybe 1 or 2 more, and then we have to move on to our agenda.
Hi, yeah, I'm Brian Wentworth, Kristen's husband, and that's going to be really hard to follow. Kristen hit on a lot of the points. Obviously, we live in the same household. We have the same ideas. So I think the only other one that hasn't come up from everyone else, I'm just going to say ditto to everyone else so far, is the field access. If that's a barrier, again, action item is how do we make it not a barrier? You know, if it's not to take away from Cranberry Fest. Cranberry Fest at this point kind of has boiled down into a craft fair. Craft fairs can go on fields that are not sports fields. They can go in front of 204 system. They can go in a gym. They can go anywhere. And K through 2 doesn't need a big field. They could take a corner of an outfield. You know, they could take a corner of a soccer field. Fields shouldn't be an access. We should be prioritizing things that need fields. You know, a craft fair can be in a parking lot. It doesn't even have to be on grass. So, and I think, the big thing for me, I've said it a couple times at select meetings, is the uniforms, and everyone's kind of heard me talk about that. And I think it really is important, not just to be part of a team, but to have the town pride. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Methuen, Massachusetts. I think my entire wardrobe growing up was Methuen's something. But you saw who played what sport, and maybe you saw, oh, Johnny has Methuen football. Maybe I'll try Methuen football. Maybe I'll try Harwich football. So, we want to have, we've been here about 6 years now. We want to have pride in our town. We want our kids to have pride in our town. And I think that does start with jerseys. Kids love a number, kids love a name, kids love a shirt. So I think, fields and shirts, those should not be a barrier. And if they are, then tell us how we can get past that, whether it's through sponsorships or volunteers or whatever. But I'm excited to see what else we talk about tonight.
I'll take, one more before we move on, please.
One, if I may.
Sure, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff Handler, Harwich resident, select board member. Wow. This is a demographic, and I'm speaking for myself here, not as a select board member, and I want to thank the committee here. This is a demographic that town government typically doesn't get to see come to their meetings. And I have to say, I commend each and every one of you for the effort, the time, the work that you've put in, how eloquently you've all spoken, and the feeling of will volunteer and not just complain, right? I don't feel that you're complaining. I want to make that clear. But for a group of residents to say, here's our concerns, and then count on us to be part of your solution is also something I don't hear very often. So I commend all of you for being here. I thank you. I thank you all for the work you're doing. And I believe and I hope that we're moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'd like to make a couple of comments, if I may, as chair. I think we heard you very loud and clear tonight. I know that you also had gone to the Board of Selectmen as well, and it seems to be a real serious concern and action needed. Usually, ladies, Mrs. Wentworth, Woodward, we use your action-based. We will make sure that we will do our job. I think we have a lot to digest here tonight. I know that my colleagues on the board are very concerned. They are very, very concerned about what we do with our kids and our adults as well, and how we go about doing it. And so I want to make sure from our perspective that your words are not unheard. They are not going to go unchallenged. We certainly are going to take every option and every opportunity to review what is said tonight. And hopefully we can get together again, maybe as a subcommittee down the road. We can develop a subcommittee of parents and members of the commission to continue our dialogue, continue our discussion, to see if we can come up with some resolutions to the issues you raised tonight. But I want to give you my assurances as chair that we will certainly work on everything you have brought forth tonight. I was a former school superintendent, and I know kids, and I've worked with elementary school kids, and I've done a lot of coaching, and so I understand your concerns, and we will do everything in our power to make certain that we address your concerns to the fullest. We welcome you again, as I said earlier. You're welcome to come to our meetings already, the fourth meeting of every month. You're welcome to sit and listen to us as we move forward. And if you have anything else that you want to bring forth, please, by all means, come on down. As they say, we're willing to listen to you. And again, we will address your concerns, be assured. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming.
Thank you.
If I could say
Yeah,
something as
let
well.
me go around very quickly. Yes.
Sure. Leah Mercurio, I just want to, again, thank you, each and every one of you. I am mom of 3 Harwich children. They go to high school, middle school, elementary school, so I see it across the board, what is needed. I can't agree with you more. The reason I joined the commission was to help make these changes. And as some of you said, it's not easy to do one person at a time. So I'm really looking forward to working with everybody here. I also coach field hockey, both for Monomoy and the youth clinic. And I'm just excited to see what we can do together to make this a much better situation for our youth. And I really, again, appreciate everybody coming here, speaking your mind, and I want you to know that I personally am in it with you, with the kids and the youth, and I'm here for anything that you need.
Thank you. Frank, you want to make?
I mimic you, Van Elliott.
Thank you.
I'm with
John?
you.
Same, thank you all for coming. We
David?
know it's not gonna happen overnight. Some certain things, and I'm sure most of you have seen it, and I made a comment to Eric, the social media posts on Instagram have changed dramatically since you folks first went to the Board of Selectmen. I see more of them, they look more professional, so that, in my opinion, and a number of you people mentioned, go forward, not backward. I see that as a positive. I'm an old timer. If I see it on Facebook or something, it's like, wow. So I'm assuming the younger folks with the younger kids are picking up on that as well. So let's move forward.
Thank you, John. David?
All set.
Thank you. Phyllis?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming. It's great to hear great ideas, and hopefully we will be able to move forward putting them in place. I think that some things are already in the works, like online sign up and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully there'll be a lot more communication, which I think is very important. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. We'll certainly be in touch with you again. This is not the end, this is the beginning. Trust us on that. We will certainly take all of your words and your comments, and we will digest everything that has been said tonight, and we'll do our due diligence to make certain that whatever we need to do, we will do to satisfy the parents of this town, and to make sure that we understand that our kids and our adults as well are very important elements of our community, and we have to treat them all in the best manner we can and make programs available for everyone that we can make programs for, from age 1 to age 95 or 100, whatever. We've got a lot of work to do, and we will certainly work diligently to see to it that the job is done and everybody feels comfortable with the Harwich Youth and Rec Commission. And we want to be proud of what we do, and we want to be #1 within our neighboring community. So let's all work together and see what we come up with, and we certainly can use your help, but we also have to be very careful that we work with kids, and we have to be very, very careful in terms of who is supervising those children. You know, we've got to make sure that we have queries and we have good background checks. You just can't say you want to volunteer, go out in the field and do it all. No, we have to be very careful. I've been very, very cautious about that during my career, and kids are paramount and they're important in our lives, and we have to make sure they're safe in terms of all the programs we develop for them and have available for them. So just bear with us, we'll work on it, and we'll certainly get back together again. I'm thinking about maybe a subcommittee of parents and a member of the commission. Perhaps we can get together and keep the dialogue going and see whether or not we can do the things that are required to do to make us all resolve the concerns that we have. Thank you for coming tonight. You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of our agenda. We got a full one tonight, but yes, ma'am.
So we are gonna have an update on the rec department. It's in line item.
We will, no, not tonight, ma'am. No, we're not.
Oh, I thought it was an agenda item.
No, the pickleball is next, and we got a couple of other things going on.
The rec program
There's a
update
rec
was.
program update,
That's what this.
yeah,
We do have that.
yeah, okay?
So we'll revisit this later in the meeting?
Yeah. You're gonna do anything tonight with?
Well, I have new programs, but the rec program update was what just happened.
Is what?
The parent concern program
Okay,
update.
yeah.
But I do have new
Wasn't
programs.
that under our
update, too.
public announcement?
It's under both.
Yeah.
We often
Okay,
do
you
that.
wanna stay for that?
I would like to hear what the updates are, new programs.
Mr.
Why don't
Chairman,
we,
Yes,
if I may,
yes.
we can move the schedule.
Okay, why don't we do
Yeah, I
that?
could do that quick right now.
New business, please, if we don't have a problem, under A, recreation program update, Eric, please.
Yep, so, like people have mentioned, we're getting stuff on social media more.
I'm sorry, can we see you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know where to.
Do you know, by the way, do you know our
Podium,
director?
Eric.
Oh, okay, sure.
I know, just turn around and
You folks know Eric, Eric Beebe, he's our director of the recreation.
This is a little, okay. All right, hi, everybody. So the rec program update that I planned to bring up was first our social media posts that we are putting up now. We have our part-time program specialist who's gotten a lot better at it, so she's been doing it, but the only problem with that is it takes her away from the after-school program, which we only have 14 hours of her for per week. But we also found one of our high school after-school helpers is very good on social media. So she's been helping us too, because she, that age group knows better than definitely me. But we do have some new programs that are set and some new ones that we are almost set on. One of the new ones is the Youth Simple Fitness program. So that's going to be on Mondays starting in December. This is all on the website. It's on the town website. It's also been posted on social media. So that's going to run on Mondays. That's going to be a simple fitness class with stretches, breathing exercises, mindfulness type exercises, also like push-ups and simple sit-ups and jogging and things like that to keep the kids moving and healthy. We're also going to do, it's not on here yet because we just developed it today, actually. We've finalized it. We're going to do a youth movie night. We're just reserving a room for it, so we'll have the date out with that. That flyer should be out probably tomorrow. We're also obviously doing the after-school program throughout the winter, open gyms for family rec and all-age open gyms. We do have the K-1-2 basketball clinic that's 2 sessions, 2 6-week sessions back-to-back. It's from Saturdays from 10 to 11, but what we've done in the past is if we get a ton of kids, we'll add an extra hour and split them up and have 2, because there have been times when we've gotten like 30, which gets to be a lot for we are short staffed, so if there's 1 or 2 staff there and 30 plus kids, that's a lot. So there's the K-1-2, the travel basketball, we're reaching out for coaches right now. We do need staff for that as well. They're there usually for the game nights. Sometimes they're refereeing, sometimes they're doing the scoreboard, things like that, but we do rely on the volunteers for coaches for those teams. So once we receive registrations, see how many teams we could break it up into, then we'll be contacting all coaches to see who could do what. Also, we're developing we're looking at, somebody mentioned the skating program. We already contacted Charles Moore and Tony Kent. So they're looking into times for us to do a Learn to Skate program. We did contact them about that. We're looking into indoor soccer, a possibility of indoor soccer in the winter over in the 204 building. That's a matter of just having staff there, but like you said, it sounds like a lot of you are willing to volunteer, which is great. We welcome that. I don't have my other list. As far as flag football goes, we're not going to have it in the winter because it's mostly an outdoor sport. We do plan to have it in the spring. We try to offer it in the spring. This past fall, what happened was we didn't have any staff to work it. We're so thin right now, so we didn't want to post it until we knew we had staff because in my experience with my kids, I didn't want to get to the point where we post a flag football program and the day before we have to cancel, or a couple days before we have to cancel because we have no staff.
Joe, you want to make any comments about staffing?
Well, this is more like.
Sure, I can speak to anything after Eric's done.
Okay.
I have a question about flag football.
Sure.
Like, you guys looked into the NFL flag football that they do like in Barnstable?
We haven't, we've always done it in-house, but we can certainly do that, yeah.
They're very willing to. Yeah, it's really, Barnstable is an awesome thing.
Yep, and that would reduce the price too, because I know there's a lot of grants available through that. Yep. Those are basically what we're looking at the moment. Oh, the other one I neglected to mention that looks like we're going to shore up probably within the next few days is gymnastics for youth. Simple gymnastics for younger kids. We do have an instructor that came to me. We've tried to run this many times before. It's hard to find somebody that specializes in gymnastics. I definitely can't teach it, that's for sure. But we found somebody that can, and we're just finding a space for it and seeing what equipment we need. But that looks like it's going to be a go. Sure.
Is that something that's possible to reach out to even like Cape Cod Gymnastics and say, just sort of like the skating rink, like, hey, is there any way that you guys
like
could
subcontract it out? Yep. And that's something we've looked into too. We used to do it with our K-1-2 soccer clinic. We used to do it with Paul Turner Soccer way back in the day. The only problem with some of those, not all of them, they charge a lot to the group that books through them. So fees, which if they are an issue already, there's a possibility they could go up even higher to cover the costs.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So you guys had, I don't know how it all came together, but Seacoast was doing kids soccer?
Yep.
Is that Monomoy Soccer kind of subbed it out to them? Is that?
Yeah, so they subbed it out to
I don't know
them.
if anyone participated in that.
We did.
It was
We did.
amazing.
Yeah.
It is more expensive. Is it something where the rec, because by hearing that the rec is not a money issue, could they pay for half of like the, and then,
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like,
it
could
would-
there be
yeah.
some sort of like scale, like, you know, it was, I felt like it was worth it, but it is totally a lot.
When I say it's not a money issue, 99% of our programs are run through a revolving fund. So what we have to do, kind of by law, in the definition of a revolving fund, is to base our fees based on what we anticipate our expenses to be.
We don't talk, can I? So I don't, I know nothing.
So we, you know, something like that, we couldn't pull from the budget to supplement the revolving, in my knowledge. I could look into if that's a possibility, but.
Let's go to a couple more questions so we can move on, please.
Is that something to help supplement that a booster club could help? You know, because I'm sure
I mean,
businesses and
I'd have to look into
individuals
the
around town-
possibility if booster clubs are okay. Then yes, yeah, I mean, it could alleviate a cost if we subcontract to an outside company and it is, would make it a lot higher fee, then a booster club could certainly help with that, yep.
Bianca?
Forgive me, but if we don't have to have a booster program for our seniors to have all of these programs, we shouldn't need a booster program for our youth.
I understand.
Bianca, please.
Yeah, how much do we currently have in the recreation revolving fund?
I believe I'd have to check the budget, there's a good amount, like 40,000. But the revolving fund also takes in all the fees from the field reservations.
Yep.
So a large balance is kept, because when things come up for the fields, which they often do, fencing repairs, we had a well break a couple of years ago, we had to pay for it out of the revolving fund. The large projects, like building a new field or a new pickleball court, those are mostly CPC projects. But when things come up that we don't anticipate, we have to have a pretty large balance there to cover that.
All right, Eric. Yes, ma'am.
Eric, did I hear that the afternoon you're short on staff for the afternoon program?
The after-school program?
Have you considered, because
Yep.
again, I'm not here, I'm
Sure.
here to hopefully stimulate some ideas.
Yeah.
Contacting the high school, because I know high school students have community service hours that they have
Yep.
to complete.
And
getting some
yeah.
energetic youth to mentor, we can of course query them, their kids, I'm assuming there'll be adults
Yep.
still there and there won't. Because that might be a nice way to foster peer-to-peer mentor
Yep.
relationships. Because it really just is about building a sense of community and having
Absolutely.
kids make connections.
And we have reached out to the Monomoy schools, and also I'm friendly with the principal at Cape Tech as well.
Billy.
Yeah, Billy, yes. So he's going to be hopefully sending people over. We are spreading the word. And then the staffing thing, you mentioned the high school and college kids. You know, for our staff, our budgeted staff, it's me as the director, Sue Frazier is our full-time program specialist, and Phyllis is our 14-hour program specialist. That's our whole staff. And then, so I was just gonna say, so we rely heavily on like the after-school helpers, which are usually high school, college-age kids. The hard part is it's getting harder and harder to find kids that wanna work of that age. And it's not an uncommon problem. And when they do work, a lot of them play a sport, so they'll leave to play the sport, or they can only work 2 days a week. And even when we do find people that are more available than others, we're restricted to holding them under 20 hours a week, so we don't pay out benefits. So
Yes, ma'am, back there, please. One other, and then we have to go on here.
I'd
Yes,
like to
ma'am.
know, how short of staff are you? And are you short of staff because the staff is not budgeted?
We don't want to talk about staff right now. Joe, do you want to say something about
But I
that?
very much do.
Yeah, but I
Excuse
mean,
me.
I think Joe is going to respond, ma'am.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
thank
Joe
you.
Powers, Town Administrator. So very quickly, first I would explain that I work for the Select Board, and Eric works for me. That's generally the flow. We rely upon the appointed Rec and Youth Commission to guide us in programming for everything you heard earlier from the charter, so thank you for that. I'd like to make a statement first, generally speaking. When I heard the question of can we have a booster club, the answer is yes. We may not call it a booster club. The town has the ability to receive gift of funds. So there are mechanisms by which the town can acquire other funds from different mechanisms. we can think of it like a booster club, but technically and bureaucratically speaking, which is my language, it is gift funds. We have the revolving fund that you heard about. I want to make it clear for this audience because having you folks come out tonight, having you folks having been at the board meeting on October 2nd is invigorating and encouraging, I think, not just for me as the administrator, but I think for the select board, because it demonstrates a dynamic commitment in our town to these programs. So the revolving fund that we've talked about, two things happen every year at town meeting. We can amend the bylaw that allows the revolving fund to expand the parameters of the revolving fund. So the question that was earlier, the language that I appreciate is barriers. If there are barriers in that language, we can change that at town meeting. Additionally, each revolving fund is required to have a cap, not a minimum, but a cap. Right now, if memory serves correctly, our cap on the revolving fund for recreation programming is $175,000. So generally speaking, if we do a program and the fees for that program go into the revolving fund, we can rely upon that and the funds revolve back to the program. That's why, as town administrator, my conversations with those of you that have had a chance to speak with me, the answer is yes. If the question is, can we do more, the answer is yes. If the question is, can we have more programming for any level of demographic in the town, the answer is yes. We, the town of Harwich, like most other communities, have the wherewithal, as some of you folks have already said. We have the mechanism in place because we have a Rec and Youth Commission that we can rely upon their expertise to build programs. We have professional staff that can manage the program, and yes, we have a vibrant community where you can volunteer under certain circumstances, and we can rely upon that. So for me to be here tonight, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and everybody on the commission, the answer from the town of Harwich is yes. I expect that the select board may have this conversation, come back at one of their meetings perhaps in November. We do not deal in no. My job as town administrator is to run the day-to-day operations of the town on behalf of the select board. And the number one thing we do in municipal government, certainly here in Harwich, is we build programs for the benefit of the town of Harwich. That's exactly what you're talking about. That's exactly what they focus on. And that's what my team does every day. So whatever our concerns or situations are, I remain convinced the answer is yes.
Thank you, Tom.
I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes, Julie, please.
Good evening, and again, to reiterate, thanks for coming. I am the liaison to the committee, and you can always email me as well if you have questions that you feel you're not getting an answer to, but I will remind you that they do meet every Tuesday, what is this?
Fourth Tuesday. Fourth Tuesday, yeah.
Thank you. Fourth Tuesday of each month. The minutes are available if anyone needs some help finding them. I know it's not always easy to navigate the website. I struggle with it many times myself, so I can help you with that.
They're not. It's on the
They are. I just pulled them up. They're there, but I'll show you how. And they are buried. It's hard to
For
find.
2002 and year-to-date 2003.
They're down by year. I'll show you them. They're not always easy to find.
Yeah.
So I just want to say,
We're upgrading the website.
yes, we're working on the website. So. But again, I think I'm glad you came to the select board meeting. As I said to some parents, I was here at the last rec meeting, and it was only myself, Pete Pekarsky, and Art Bowden talking about some issues with pickleball and an item at Brooks Park. So this is your venue. This is the best place for you to be. And I just want to reiterate that tonight. And all of these people on our committee that we're lucky to have are dedicated.
Thank
so
you, Julie. Appreciate
thanks.
it. Again, I'd just like to buttress what she said. Again, come here, be part of our meetings. Come here first. I know the selectmen have a busy agenda. We'd like to hear from you, okay? We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to know what's going on out there. If we miss something, please keep us informed and we'll direct our attention to it ASAP. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much for coming, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome.
I think we have one more person that has questions. I think she has one more person that has a question.
I don't know.
All right.
Hold on, Vin, wait till they.
I will.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
You have one more question, ma'am?
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
I know, again, like, sort of we'll be in touch, and I don't mean to be impatient, but I just, in terms of next steps, and things going on, I know, you know my name because I spoke, but like, you have no way of contacting me. What's our way of getting in touch with you to find out? Like, do we wait a week and then call? Do we?
Talk to the director, call the director, and we will
And I
follow
can
up
give
on
you
this.
their email, email
You
address.
can send me an email as chair. I will make sure that my colleagues on the board are able to respond. We'll get together. We'll do what we have to do to get together. We're not going to delay this, okay? It's not in the outwinds, if you will.
Yeah, it
And
just,
we'll
it
deal
sort
with
of seems like that. That's the
No,
only reason I
it-
say
it's
that,
not
is because
gonna
it
happen.
doesn't seem like we have a, hey, you know what, we'll be in touch with you in
Yeah.
a
And
week
this is what
to
we're
let you
going to
know.
do next.
We will be
I
in
wanna
touch
hear
with you
what is
ASAP
going
as
to
soon
go
as we have an
next.
opportunity to digest everything tonight.
Right,
and
but
see
we've been
what-
digesting since last February.
Well,
So
you didn't
also,
come to
I
us until
just
tonight.
I want to know, we have all of these people here right
Yeah.
now that said they would volunteer. Where's your piece of paper that says, write down your name, your phone number, your email, and I will be in contact with you by the end of the week, and you will have a list of volunteers right there. We're here.
I mean, I'm literally happy to write down people's names and I'll email them to you if you like.
It's not easy just volunteering, ma'am. You gotta get, you gotta go through the query. We have to make sure
We're
everything
both
is.
Cory checked right
Uh,
now.
We all
That's
are,
fine.
We all volunteer in other towns.
Okay, all right, let's keep it,
Excuse me,
let's
can I
keep
just
it.
ask
Hold
where
on,
your
please.
email address is posted, because I couldn't find it online.
Okay.
Your individual
They are.
contact information is not
They're
available
online?
online.
The emails are on there,
Where?
I
I'll pull them up
believe.
right now.
John, just a minute. John, go ahead.
Can we get on the website, somewhere, a form where these people can fill out to volunteer? Like somebody
We
had
just-
talked about,
We just developed a new form, so it's going up, yeah.
Where is it?
It's not, we just did it,
where's it gonna be, so these
We'll put it
people
on the
know?
website, yeah. We'll put it on the website and I'll send it out to the social media pages too.
Because one of these ladies, or somebody spoke and,
Yeah, correct.
because somebody spoke and said it goes directly to a Cory check.
If you,
That's another town.
Yes, but that's what I'm
if
saying,
you go to
can
the rec
we,
website now, there's a volunteer form on there.
Okay.
But we update it, so it's a
And does that
newer
bring you to a
updated.
Cory check too, or?
No, that's separate, but once you submit your volunteer application, we review it, we can sit down and speak, and we can get you queried.
Okay.
Okay. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the interest in getting things done quickly. I will say that in my 16 weeks of being a select person, it does not move quickly, setting up expectations. But what I can tell you is I haven't seen more interest in moving things along more quickly than what I'm seeing here tonight. So while there will take, no one wants, I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, so I'm with you as well. No one wants this done quicker than I. But at the end of the day, there will be a select board meeting this coming Monday. The select board will work, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'm hopeful that the select board will work with this commission. We'll progress things forward, and I would urge you all to continue to stay vigilant in watching our meetings, the select board meetings, as well as their meetings. But give it a little time, but you have my assurance that we're on this. We are on this.
Thank you, Jeff.
On the 30th, just so nobody thinks we're.
Yes, so, good point, Julie. This coming Monday, there is only one subject on our agenda for the select board meeting. But I have requested, if you remember from last week, I've requested this to be on the agenda for the following week. So it will happen.
Liaison will also
Yeah.
be updating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not falling on deaf ears.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to our agenda. Let's see, let's go to miscellaneous correspondence, Harwich pickleball, the correspondence. You all got a copy in your, copy of the correspondence from pickleball chair, Tom Bryant. Tom, you want to make some comments?
Sure.
You want to shut that door?
Yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah.
My name is Tom Bryant, and I'm an active member, actually the chairperson of the Harwich Pickleball Association. I feel I'm in a fugue here. We've got the opposite ends of the spectrum with the old people wanting to play pickleball and the parents who I'm also a parent but not of a young child anymore, so I feel your pain when it comes to what you're looking for. And I think you're in the right place, and I know this board here has probably heard you loud and clear as they've told you. My only thing that I want to bring up is I kind of feel selfish because we are a very fortunate group of people, pickleball players here in Harwich. It's almost become like the mecca of pickleball, and I'll probably say that word way too many times in the next couple of minutes, but maybe there's something that the Pickleball Association or pickleball in general can do with the youth. I mean, I'm going to tell you a quick story. This summer, we've had several kids that would come down over the summer and play. One kid in particular, and obviously not going to mention his name, but he came down every Saturday, Sunday morning, 7:30. He's down there playing, and he wasn't that good, but he was a kid, and he was anxious and eager to play, and we all took him under our wing, and we played with him. He had an old wooden paddle that was falling apart. I told him I would give him an old paddle of mine. If he liked it, he could keep it. If not, next time he came down, give it back to me. So off he went. We played for an hour. Off he went with his new paddle. I saw him at the golf course a week later. He was on his way back from the pickleball court with his paddle in his hand. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went down to play in the afternoon, and there's this kid with 3 kids his age, and they were all playing pickleball. And I could hear him on the side. He didn't see me. He goes, "Yeah, I used to come down here Saturday morning at 7:30 to skip breakfast, and I'd play with all the old people." So I said, "Hey, are you talking about me?" And he said, "Hey, that's the guy I was telling you about. He's one of the old people." And he still had his paddle. So there is some meshing that we can do with the youth. Maybe we can, have 2 courts on a Saturday or Sunday, and volunteers can play basketball with the kids while the parents play pickleball, or bring the kids over and play pickleball. But this, it's a recreational sport, and I think that's what you're all looking for. We're looking for, we're always looking for ways to keep ourselves young as well, I think, at least I am. The main concern was about 204 Sisson. We had been told that there was a certain date we were going to start. That date got delayed. I think we're on track now for, if I'm not mistaken, Frank or Eric, to start up like the 31st.
It depends on the selection.
Okay, it depends on the selection. So that would be, the main concern. I know there's concern about, the seniors in Harwich, the pickleball, they get everything. The one difference, and I'm not picking a fight with anybody. We don't need supervision. When it comes to young kids, you need adults there. You need people who have Corey checks. Some of the people I play with should have Corey checks too, to be honest with you. But that's a difference. We're sort of self-sufficient. We had a big tournament this year. We have it every year. We donated $1,000, $500 to the Harwich Children's Fund and $500 to the Foster Closet. So we're giving back to the community, and I think we can do that in other ways aside from being financial. So my objective here tonight wasn't to talk about the youth, but I feel like I've been sucked into this whole conversation, and I'm happy to do our part to try to help solve this problem. We're loving the new courts. Saw the new ones, the lines were put down today. Kind of feel bad that we're getting something that you guys aren't, but you know what? Let's make it all work. This is Harwich property, and it's open to everybody.
There's a basketball court coming.
Beautiful. There you go. New basketball court. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Questions? Anybody have any questions about anything with the pickleball with Tom?
No.
If not, okay, let's move on to new business. Let's see, where are we?
Excuse me, can I just make one comment real quick? Again, Brian Wentworth, I just want to be clear too, this is not a battle with pickleball. We fully understand the spectrum of ages in our community, and I just want to leave it at that. So it's important to have both.
It is. Yeah, it's not either or.
Thank you.
You sound like you'd be great with kids.
Eric, fee rate schedule for pickleball.
Yep, so the schedule that we have coming out for the proposed program for 204 for this winter is indoors, 8 a.m. Well, there's several options. So for unlimited play, full season play, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the night hours, which is Tuesday and Friday evenings from 5 to 7 is $75 for the winter season. Unlimited play through December 23rd, so virtually a half season for the people that do leave for Florida or wherever they go. You could do both of those things for $40. And then you could do nights, you could do the option of nights only for people that work during the day or in the mornings and can't get here for 40. So that was the proposed, what we were working off of, to sign people up for this winter.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Joe Powers, Town Administrator. In this instance, I believe skunk at the garden party, but I wanted to rely upon this public body and this public meeting. Last week, I had directed our rec director to freeze the registration process for the, what I understand to be the winter season, indoor season for pickleball, until I could attend your meeting and present what I'm about to present. The select board, as you know, has, well, we work on the budget all year. And a big part of the budget is local receipts, and local receipts are what all the departments derive for fees. I wanted the Rec and Youth Commission to hear from me. The select board will most likely discuss this at a future meeting, if not in November, certainly by December. And that is the question of fee schedules and fee rates generally. The select board operates under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 22F, which essentially reads that any department or committee that is appointed by the select board must get final approval on rates from the select board. The select board members have indicated at prior meetings that they're very much interested in revisiting rates in general, and certainly as they relate to pickleball. The purpose for my direction to our director to freeze it was to give everybody fair notice through this public meeting that the registration process will begin again tomorrow, but we wanted everyone to be aware that the fee schedule may change if there is a discussion at the select board level. And so I wanted, again, rely upon your public meeting through this public body on television and in front of everybody to make those statements.
Thank you.
I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Leah? I just have a question. Excuse me, please. Let me go through the board, please. Leah?
So, excuse me if I'm not understanding it correctly. The registration will open, but the fee may change, so you're asking people to just on goodwill sign up not knowing how much they're going to be paying?
Sure, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is the town would be within our rights to cancel the program until the board had a conversation on the rates. So again, for me, it's to try to use this mechanism to convey to everybody, I'm the agent of the town through the select board. The director reports to me. I wanted you to hear it straight from me.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And I'm hoping.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yep, I'm hoping that if the board is looking to change any fees, that they would probably do so at their November 6th meeting. Okay. I'll certainly keep everybody posted through the director.
Perfect, thank you.
People are already registered and paid, about 100 of them at least.
Nothing was deposited.
Deposited?
We returned everything. Well, we didn't return, we're holding it. We're holding it. We haven't deposited anything.
I think the goal is so much of the registration fee to go towards the 204 building, is that correct?
$20 per.
That's what it is now, anyway.
Yeah.
I defer to the director on that, yeah.
And the selectmen want to change that, I believe. How much of the fee goes towards the 204 building?
I'm not sure that that's exactly what they're looking at. The sense I took from the conversation is for me to validate what is the process under the statute. That was that reference that I made. And then the board may look at any and all rates and all fees. However, given the timing of the pickleball winter season, that's what I'm relying upon this evening.
Okay. All set, Frank?
Yeah.
John?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Does that mean the people that are, the 100 that already registered need to re-register, Mr. Powers?
So at this point, I would encourage registration to begin. If there were deposits and registrations that were made, I wouldn't see an objection to anyone having those go through. Again, the intent is to give as much notice first through this meeting that the fee schedule may change, and it may change during the current season. So I don't see any reason why the process could not resume again tomorrow, Wednesday, October 25th, At least the caveat is out there. And everybody can rely upon these utterances on this tape and go back to it for future reference. Again, Joe Powers, Town Administrator. Thank you.
David, please. David?
Where do I start?
Start wherever you want, David.
I know where you're gonna start.
Just real quick, will, in this whole process, for the Board of Selectmen particularly, will there be an open meeting within the Board of Selectmen meeting where you invite folks to come in, have a discussion about the fees? Or is that gonna be in a direct meeting with the board itself as a confidential meeting?
There's no reason under law to have a confidential meeting. None of this would ever rise to the level of executive session. The only question that I understand to be open-ended, for my purposes, is given the clarity of Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 22F, it's very straightforward. What's a little bit cumbersome in my personal opinion, professional opinion, is that the Select Board has currently a policy whenever there is a change to rules, regulations, and fees. So if the board is going to rely upon that, it requires them to give notice akin to a public hearing. So my hope would be that all parties could be heard on November 6th, and the Select Board could decide what's the mechanism would be, if they do it that evening and waive their policy, or if they then do the public hearing. But all of it would be, as is this meeting, in public body and public meeting for anyone to participate.
But that will be an agenda item.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All set, David? Phyllis, please?
I have a few questions.
Sure.
Okay, I'm new on the board, so I don't know everything.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I thought when I read some of the state, I don't know if they're statutes or codes or what, it said you can't charge more for a program than it costs. And I wish I could cite it.
So it's probably Emerson College versus City of Boston generally.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a longstanding statute. We're well aware of it. And so everything that we do is guided by that. And we rely upon council to make sure that we are within the boundaries of that. But I believe that's what the reference gets to.
Okay, and so I have here the Cultural Arts Municipal Building fee schedule. And under the municipal column, for the gymnasium, it's no charge.
For use of the gymnasium?
Yes.
Right, I think what you have presently is you have a recreation program called pickleball that occurs at different locations.
But when I looked up the municipal, that includes recreation. That's a function of the municipality, is to provide recreation for the citizens.
I understand the statement. Was there a question or?
No, I'm just asking, it says no charge. So when you come up with the fee for the program, there's no charge for the space, according to the fee schedule, because it's a municipal program. We're not a private entity coming in. If we were a private entity, we'd be subject to these for-profit, not-for-profit, or resident charges.
Well, I don't believe the town charges the town to use town space.
Right, so that's, well, I'm just asking, and so we.
So I think that, if I may, that reference gets to, say the town administrator wanted to have an event in the gymnasium, my administration department could use that for municipal purposes and there's no charge.
But so from my point of view, the recreation department is municipal.
Except that you created a pickleball program.
It's a program within the department. It's not we're not a separate entity creating the program. I'm not a legal person.
Sure, I don't disagree.
I'm just reading stuff and putting it together in my mind.
I don't disagree per se.
Yeah.
My understanding is you have a fee schedule that relates to winter pickleball, and those rates have been established. That is a standalone through the Recreation Department and the Recreation and Youth Commission. The board may rely upon that information to tie the two together, but there's an existing recreation program.
Right. And then another question, but it's for Eric and another time.
Sure. You all set, Phyllis?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I think you had something.
I just wanted a clarification, and you sort of touched on it. So registration may start again, but there's been past registration that 100 and something people have paid for. And yet from that date, October 1st, when we started, it's close to, the program has not been allowed to run. Is there any reason why program can't be ongoing while the fee discussion is taking place?
I did mention earlier that I would expect that the registration and programming would begin tomorrow,
So,
while the fee structures are being evaluated.
okay, I wanted clarification. So
Yep.
the gym will be open tomorrow for
Tomorrow.
indoor pickleball.
There's no objection from administration on that. I would ask the director if he's able to initiate tomorrow, or if he needs another day.
Are you all set with that, Eric?
Yeah, we can do it.
And if somebody is previously registered, just get our checks back and re-register, I'm not sure how that works.
If you're pre-registered, we still have your check.
Okay,
Nothing's
so
been deposited.
We can just go
So you-
tomorrow and play pickleball at 8 in the morning. and
Yep,
register.
yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I guess if I could, Mr. Chairman, to sort of wrap it up. If I were a legal disclosure, the fine print might be, the town reserves the right to reevaluate their fee schedule, and the fee that you paid on such and such a date may be increased at a future date, and you would be required to pay that future price.
And the difference.
And I am not an attorney, and I'm trying not to sound like one.
We may meet one day though, because now I'm thinking about it, we want to let the staff over there know that you guys are going to be coming in. And I don't know if I'll be able to get in touch with anybody before 8 a.m. when you guys would
But
start.
that will be posted someplace.
Oh,
The
yeah,
gym is
yeah,
open.
absolutely.
So
yeah,
you're ready to
yeah.
go the following
So
day?
probably the following day would be most
Could we
better,
make,
just like-
could we make an exception then and open the courts outside tomorrow morning?
I'd have to check.
Not
with the
have people park in the dirt parking lot?
Well, yeah, I just have to check with the highway department, because they had asked that
Yeah.
it be closed while they do the clearing.
Just on, you know.
Can we not just wait a day until we get this?
Okay, I just,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
they were just lined today. I guess the bigger question is,
Well, those
how
have to
long do we
queue
have to stay off them? You talking the two?
The other courts are
Okay,
ready, yeah.
I apologize, I misunderstood. And one other question,
Go
if I
ahead,
may,
Jack.
for the town administrator? From the Selectmen's Handbook, Recreation and Youth Commission, it states, and I'm just looking for some clarification, please, at some point, not this evening necessarily. The Rec and Youth Commission for the town of Harwich is a 7-member commission whose primary responsibilities are setting policy and fees. So I guess there's another opinion that, no, we don't. The Selectmen's Handbook says, yes, we do. You see my confusion?
Are you trying to entice me to be a parliamentarian again?
No.
So if I may, there is statute, that's state law, that's chapter 40, section 22F. Then you go to special act, which is our charter. Then you have rules, regulations, policies, procedures. You're making reference to a handbook, which is none of those, but that is superseded higher up the chain. Council has reviewed all that, notwithstanding the statement in the handbook, Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 22F prevails.
Would it not make sense, through you, Mr. Chair, to remove that?
Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And it is the, what we now refer to as the Select Board Handbook on Committees. We would absolutely endeavor to do that.
Thank you.
That's all. All set. We have anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good news, I'm leaving.
Bye, Joe.
All right,
Bruins.
moving on, guys. Number C, please, under new
And
business.
can I just say one thing on just the pickle, so if
Go
there's
ahead.
anybody here, so we'll start off on Thursday at the 2:04. We'll take registration forms and we'll hold payment until we know the exact date.
We clear on that? We
Yeah,
good? We good with that?
confused. It sounded like we had to wait.
Mr. Chair, you good with
No,
that?
I didn't, yeah, I was
It
confused.
sounded confusing.
Yeah, well, once you said you could play, then I understood.
John?
I do have one more comment on
Go
the
ahead.
pickleball at the 2:04. Last year, we initiated with the request of pickleball players Saturday mornings. And I did not see that on. Eric said he hadn't had any inquiries on it yet. I don't know how, if we put that on, and if nobody signs up, or only a few sign up, you don't have it, because you can't justify doing a program for 4 people.
Yeah, yeah.
But if, and the argument that was made to me last year was the fact that the hours that they have don't work for the working folk. So they asked, so they asked for Saturday mornings, okay? So if that could be on the radar at a minimum,
Is that doable, Eric?
and I will defer to the chair, maybe he might have some more.
Is that
intel.
doable, John?
Yeah, I mean,
Do you have people that have inquired about it?
not to me directly, because those people just typically play at night. I think you've partially accommodated them by providing 2 nights a week when they can play.
That's right.
So,
Okay.
would you fill up a gym on Saturday morning? I couldn't tell you for sure.
It started last year, I don't know how many people showed up.
Well, it started and then, I think because futsal wasn't there, it was or whatever that.
Yeah,
it wasn't
futsal
there.
goes in.
Then the
But
floor
then
itself.
it started and maybe a few weeks and then we were told we had to vacate the facility because of the floor.
floor,
So
yep.
they ended up not even having the opportunity to barely play.
Just
And
a
it was
thought.
because of the floor.
Okay, we good? All right, let's move on to director's report, please.
We're going back to, did you want to do item C under new business? or- That's a quick one.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Go ahead, I'm
So
sorry.
Department of Public Works, new work order process. It's just Joni retired over at the Highway Department. But we were told that in the past, we've done work orders pretty much over the phone. We can call in, put a work order in. The only change now is it has to be in writing from department staff. So everything, any work order, if you have anything, like Van had some, just send it to me, I'll send it to them. It'll go.
Department staff or department head?
Well, department head, yeah, because I'll direct the step, if Elaine puts it in for me,
I gave you 9 work orders. Where are we?
They're all submitted, so I'm waiting here.
Joni got
Well,
get those
Joni's
down?
gone now, so
Yeah,
Jared.
but they're down there.
Jared, yeah, they're down
I
there.
know that Jared completed one of them. He did all the weeding at the playground. I think at the last meeting there was a concern about
It looks
the
a lot
weeds
better and the trees that were growing in the basketball court.
Yeah,
it
the
looks
playground
better.
weeds were taken care of, and he was working on the pickleball area to get those taken
Yeah.
care of. We're still working on the gates, trying to take care of the gates at both the pickleball area and the playground area.
Yep.
There's some gates that need to be readjusted, and I understand that when we complete the work at the new pickleball course, the contractor has a fencing company that
Yeah, that's who we're gonna
so
contact.
hopefully we can get that fencing company to be able to take care of the gates that we have that are not adjusted correctly, and they're damaging some of the playground areas and so on. So we're, I'm gonna keep abreast of that, Eric. We wanna see that that's done. John, you have?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Mr.
please.
Chair. So Eric, the department head writes the order, emails them to Highway? Can I make a suggestion, a request that a CC of that go to whoever the chair is at the time? As a paper trail.
Okay.
Okay.
The original discussion I had with Joan was similar to what you're suggesting, that either I or Eric could put the work orders together, and they would be moved down to the highway department, and they would put them on. She would put them into the computer, give a copy to Eric. Not to Eric. To Eric would have a copy. Jared would get a copy as the new foreman, and then when a job has been done, to contact either Eric or myself, indicating that job has been completed.
Well, the thing that's changed with
What's
that,
changed in that?
Elaine called and clarified, they're not gonna go to commission members
Okay.
with
No,
it. They're
she
gonna come
wanted
to
the
me.
director.
They're gonna come to the
Because they
department
decide.
head, yeah.
Okay, as long as we
So
get-
that's the only real change
Yeah,
in
as
what
long
you
as
just said.
somehow
Yep.
we get a paper trail and that either I or somebody is notified that the work has been done.
Yep.
Okay?
One other thing, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, please, David.
We were just talking about maintenance stuff. As that spinner.
I'll give you a report on that as we get into the
Got it.
maintenance report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I got it.
Just gonna ask the same thing.
Let's see, we have director's report. Why don't you go on with that?
Let me just see if I have anything that I went over programming. We did the new facility policy subcommittee met. That's gonna come up as an agenda item, I think. Yes, fees subcommittee. So we'll get to that then. CPC project update is also gonna come up as an agenda item. And then the budget timeline, it's pretty much all there. We're gonna be submitting our munis request in December. Then it'll go to department heads meeting with Joe individually. Once he submits his budget, it'll go to the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen. Once they approve it, it will go to May town meeting. And if May town meeting approves the town budget, including ours in it, the money will be available July 1. So that's the timeline as of right now.
We good? We all set? Property maintenance report.
So the one update on here that Van just mentioned, so the spinner at Brooks Park, the part has been ordered. for it, so we're just waiting for it to come in, and then that'll get done.
There was another issue down there at the playground area. When I went down, I looked at Spinner Road.
Well, there's a bent pole.
The bent pole, there was a large pole on the slide, and there was a dent in that pole, and I think we're gonna try.
I'm trying to get a number on.
That's been there for years.
It would be.
The hanging,
Yeah, there's a
monkey
big pole.
bars.
Yeah.
On the monkey bars, it looks like maybe whoever
Something
put the
ran
mulch
into
down,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the dent that I'm referring to. The big
Yeah.
dent in that pole that's holding that whole structure up.
So I'm waiting on a quote for the pole.
Right.
That may be pretty expensive,
Yeah,
but, you
that
know, we'll
that's been
see.
there for years.
Yeah, somebody, I think it was with the mulch.
Yeah.
It was the mulchers that
But I
came
think
in
it's
it.
something we need to take care of. Let's work on that as well.
Okay, let me see. The other ones that jump.
The septic bid, you wanna mention
Well,
anything
that's
about
under
Sand Pond?
CPC project updates. Is that where you wanna
No.
do that, or you wanna do it now? The Sand Pond bid opening for the restroom facility, the actual building itself, is tomorrow.
10 o'clock.
So the septic's all set. I believe he's got his health department approval. So that'll be going in soon. I gotta get an exact date from RJ Gabriel, are the ones doing it. And then we'll know tomorrow what we're looking at for a stick-built restroom as recommended by the highway department. 2 o'clock tomorrow. Also on here is all the CPC, the new CPC projects that we just put in for funding for. Those have all been submitted. I am meeting tentatively with the CPC, I believe December 19th, but I'll send out an email with the exact, I may be off on the date there, but yep.
Just another update in terms of maintenance report. The fence that the highway department destroyed over at the new Bassett Field has been repaired. We talked to a fencing company for at least 4 or 5 times, but Jared got on the horn and made a phone call, and within the next day, that fence that was in disrepair was repaired.
That's there.
The fence that's over at White House, that's a claim with the bus company. Where are we with that, Eric?
That one, so we're waiting for a landmark fence is impossible to get a hold of.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that the fence company that comes in, like you had said, can come over and give us a quote on that. It's all gonna be covered through insurance, because it was a Cape Destinations bus, I believe, that backed into it. So there's gonna be no cost to us when it is fixed.
Okay. Chairman's report, the only thing I have is that I was gonna mention the Sand Pond bid opening tomorrow. I would also like to, based on what we heard tonight, I would like to see if we can develop a subcommittee or a working committee, if you will. Not so much a subcommittee, but a working committee of maybe a couple of members from the parent group and say a member from the rec.
I volunteer for that.
So that we have at least 3 members of that committee, or that working committee, and Eric, you would be part of that, I would suspect.
Yep.
We'll see where we go with that, but in any event, I don't want to make it a very long and large committee. I think we need to address.
Like the facilities.
Yes. We need to address their concerns and make sure that we can do it with input from the rec and also input from the parents. So Bianca, if you have a couple of names you'd like to submit to us, let us know who those representatives will be. And okay?
And you have my contact info, so you can just send me the names.
She will be the
I'll liaison
representative
them
for,
over.
okay, so you guys work together and keep us informed. We'd like to see some short-term and long-term goals in terms of projects and programs that you think are required or necessary for us to work on, okay? Short-term and long-term, look at the budget implications, staffing and so on. Put together a good working document that we can look at, okay? And the sooner we can get something like that, the sooner the board can really begin to work on where we're gonna go with all of this. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion?
Sure,
I'll
absolutely.
throw it on the table.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the here and now first.
Okay.
I'm not saying we don't need to go down, but I don't want to see this working group get muddied in the waters of down the road. There's some immediate concerns that need to be looked at. Do that, maybe that gets settled in a month or 2, and then they can continue with the long term. That's just my opinion.
I agree that we need to be begin working on it post haste, but I think that we need to digest a lot of what was said tonight. And I don't know if we're ready as a commission to make any recommendations to Eric in terms of where we're going with all of the requests. I don't know.
I'm not saying that, you just gave them.
Short-term and long-term.
You gave them a short-term and a long-term goal.
Let's work on the
focus on the short-term
Absolutely.
first.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's clear. We
I'm
wanna
not
look at-
ignoring the long,
Yeah.
but I think we need
We wanna get
to
a,
walk before we
needs
can run.
assessment, if you will, of the whole recreation department. What are our needs, short term, come in with some recommendations so we can really begin working on where we need to go, okay?
Can I just jump in on this? Is that okay?
Go ahead.
I think the short term were very well put in front of us tonight. I think we
But you
were.
need an action plan.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking
Yeah.
at, Leah, I think.
And that's what we
I'm sorry, go
want.
ahead,
That's what
you've
we
got the
want.
floor.
No, that's okay. It's okay. I want to tread lightly. I
Go ahead, say, what is it?
So I love the idea of a subcommittee. We can come up with some great ideas. We can say these are our short-term goals, which I think everyone here is very well aware of. The long-term goals, I don't see that us doing that any more than just coming up and creating programs or creating ways to have the programs. And unfortunately, I feel like that's the director's job. So coming up with what our short-term goals are, or what we want to see happen, definitely a committee could absolutely do that. For us to sit down and come up with what programs to create or things like that, I feel like that doesn't fall onto us.
Well, I
just
think
read
that somewhere
something that
along the
says it
line,
does.
I think somewhere down the road, we need to, once the short-term goals or needs assessment is done, I think we need to look at the rec department from a long-term strategic planning, if you will, and see exactly where we are with the rec department and develop a strategic plan or a needs assessment or whatever you want to call it, so we can really begin to put together some thoughts and ideas from all of you in terms of where we're going year 1, 2, 3. Where do we see ourselves 2, 3 years down the road as a commission, as a rec department? I think it's important for us to really begin to digest. Where are we?
I see what Lee is saying though, because I could come up with 1,000 programs of different kinds, but I need, we need to brainstorm in a subcommittee on how to run them, how to, staffing, resources, whatever we need to run these programs.
That would be part of that whole strategic plan. You put down the program, the timeline in terms of when you think it could be implemented, the cost of the program, and so on. So you develop a profile of what you think is needed for the next year, 6 months, year, 2 years down the road, and where are we going to get the resources, the staffing, and so on, and to name the programs that we don't have that we need to have. Okay, so I think that.
Just correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
And please correct me, because I might be totally off base here. Does that not fall under your responsibility?
And you.
Yeah.
You could read that thing that John read.
No, that's what I'm asking you. Please clarify.
It's together.
So if I was to come here and say, hey, Eric, I have this, I don't know, balloon art program. Literally making this up, okay?
Please do,
And then say, here's the timeline, here's the person to contact, here's all the information, blah, blah, blah. And then I hand it to you.
It's gonna be implemented?
Is that what
It has to come
I'm
before the
hearing?
commission, obviously. If it's a new program, it has to come before the commission, I would think, to see whether or not we are on the right track in terms of the
Well, if every
staffing of
new,
it, the
if every
timeline
new
of it.
program I come up with has to come to you guys, then it's gonna be
Exactly.
longer delays in getting.
Right, and I don't think every new program
You
has
just
come up
can't go off
before
and
us.
develop programs unilaterally without the
Why
commission
not?
members.
Actually,
Well,
I
the
can,
commission members have gotta have some
So I
input.
just developed a fitness program for kids. I didn't come to you with that. If I did, I'd
But
have
we
to wait and wait and wait.
should be aware of what seems to be
And I
happening.
just,
Well, yeah, being aware, I feel
Nobody's
like,
cared
and
until
I don't mean to make this discussion riled, but making the commission aware is different than being able to create.
Yeah.
David?
Okay, and implement.
Yeah.
This board, this commission, as long as I've been on it, has been charged with setting the agenda for the rec department in all facets. As a charge, it was the charge of the board, the director, to follow those, whatever was developed from this board that went forward. it got lost when the board took a step back and let the director run the programs without having to do with this, anything with this board. Now, the discussion has been, who in this board is qualified to put together programs? None of us are.
I disagree with that.
We do, then, by saying what you're saying, we gave up a certain amount of power to the director,
Okay.
okay? Maybe that was an error. Maybe all this falls on this board and not the personnel. We should have had enough insight through the years, because we've all volunteered, we've all been coaches. Half the people in this room I knew are coached. And I wasn't aware these details were happening. I was absolutely blindsided when I went to the Board of Selectmen meeting and listened to what these people said. I told some board members here, I was embarrassed and humiliated. I should have known. This board should have known. We're supposed to be setting the policies for the rec department. Eric's job is, he should be following through with those policies. We turned that. We allowed him, and it was a misstep on our part, because he's got the degree in recreation, and we don't. He knows what programs, he's a program specialist, now a director. He had all the information, that's why we let him take hold and let him run.
That never happened.
That did happen.
No, it didn't, because every month I put in my director's report, when it's a new season, all the programs we're running, the new programs we're looking at. There's never a question except for Leah, for the most part.
And
So
that's
you
true.
didn't
No,
switch
hold on.
anything over. You just
Hold
chose
on.
not to ask about it.
I'm not
You chose to
hammering
not
you.
care. That's what happened.
I'm not hammering you. I'm saying it lies on us, not you.
But not because you gave me charge, but because you chose not to ask about anything.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
You're
I
exactly
would
right.
like to say that I continuously ask.
Except for you,
Right.
yeah. No, that's what I said, yeah.
Okay. Eric,
I
I
appreciate,
apologize, you were right.
David, I appreciate you trying to take some responsibility for this. I really do. That means a lot to me.
It doesn't mean a lot to
Can
me.
we hold off this, let us.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, you have the floor.
I have to say this. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but at the same time, I would like it acknowledged that multiple parents have come to recreation staff and asked about changes and programs and policies. We have had meetings. We have met on Facebook, in person. We have brought it to the director who is on this board and asked him what we can do. And am I wrong in understanding that he has not brought this to your attention? You have not heard of these issues, of these errors, of these miscommunications.
And we're understanding right now that you guys had no idea, so where is that falling? Where is the lack of communication with our board? Where is,
Well, I give program updates every director's report that I submit, every month. I mean, you can look
He's
back.
right when he says that.
Right.
He does.
We're not gonna get it, ma'am, we're not
No.
gonna get into this.
not
Let's,
public.
we've had our chance at the public hearing. We still got, I know that there are some issues that are still out there. We'll deal with those issues, ma'am, okay? Let us finish our agenda here. John?
I would like to remind everybody, I believe you handed out last meeting, Mr. Chair, the document that I referred to in regards to, that we were told isn't really policy, of setting policy and fees. But down below in the charter, it states the commission shall develop and carry out programs designed to meet the opportunities, challenges,
Right.
and problems of the youth. These policies and programs shall be designed to meet the recreational needs of children, youth, adults, and the elderly. The policies adopted by the commission shall be administered by the Director of Youth and Recreation, who shall be subject to the day-to-day supervision of the town administrator, which they talked about earlier, within the scope of the general policy and direction established by the commission. So yes, we are, by the charter, and this doesn't mean it's gospel anymore, but by this document, states we have to develop and carry out programs. Eric is right, we've never had a problem with what he said, because the programs have been on the agenda, on the, whatever it was, on the director's report. But this says we are supposed to. Just to clarify that for everybody. And if we got away from that, or if we were a little loose, like David said, we'll apologize. I still want to go forward and not backward, so as long as we're all on the same page,
So,
everybody needs to know that that's.
so to clarify, if I come next month and I have 10 programs and the wherewithal on how to do it,
Yeah.
they can be implemented?
That's how I read that.
If you have, yeah, I mean, if you have the,
Bring them into,
you know,
bring 'em in.
the main things when I look at a program is interest, space, whether it's indoor or outdoor, and staff. That's,
Okay.
you know, if we have that, then we could run it. That's all, you know, that's been the case, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I need staff, and that's why I'm going to the budget this year to try to get a whole nother program specialist.
But what about just communication with, I'll just use Chatham as an example, they have the karate person. They just contracted somebody from the outside and he
Yep,
runs it.
okay, so we'll do that
Things
then.
like that, like reaching out to community members and saying, hey, I wanna run a program and you know.
And that's what we're doing with the
whatever.
gymnastics program I just talked about. That's
Right.
what we're doing with that. Yep.
I think the volunteer
Learn to
form is-
skate-
Yeah.
The Learn to Skate program, same
Right.
thing.
Excuse me, go ahead.
The volunteer form that we discussed earlier, I think is huge, because you're gonna know.
I think it
And
needs to be
everybody's
top priority.
well-intentioned, and no disrespect to anybody in this room.
Volunteer
I've
forms
been
are
there,
on the website.
you know, you have a good intention, then next thing you know, someone is sick, or someone happens, or someone breaks their leg, or, you know, life gets in the way. And that's, I believe, part of Eric's concern with all volunteers. That's why I think if we could get additional staff and a group of volunteers, it would be
I need both.
beneficial to
Yeah, I need
everybody.
both.
So
you
can
know.
I just ask another question? So do you have to have a staff at the program?
We like to in the past because we, you know, emergency situations,
So
things
I'm
like
running
that.
field hockey.
Yep.
And there's no rec staff.
Yeah, but you're on the rec commission, so, you know.
But I ran it before, but I wasn't on the rec commission.
We're trying to look for the safety of the kids too. So, you know, we can have a Corey volunteer, but all of our staff is first aid, CPR certified, AED certified. Yeah, no, that's fine, but not all volunteers.
Coaches already.
You know.
We're already licensed by the state,
And
and what we're saying to you is, we're all going to outside programs and we're trying to bring and tell you what is working in
Okay.
these other.
I'm not arguing with you.
programs.
I'm not
No,
arguing, yeah.
I'm just letting you know,
Yeah.
because we're running them in the other towns.
Okay.
We're volunteering, my husband coached the entire basketball program last winter.
They don't
in
have any
Chatham.
staff there?
In Chatham.
They don't have any staff there at
No
all?
staff was there. Right
See, I don't know
now,
if
their
that's a
soccer
great idea.
program.
We used to
No
do it
staff
here,
was there.
Eric, because I used to coach out in that gym with a whole bunch of people there.
Since I've been here, so
No, it
let's
hasn't.
use
You're
travel,
right.
travel
You're
league as an example. When we have practices or game nights that are home, it is coach volunteers that run the games, but we'll have obviously referee staff. But we also have a staff member here in case of emergency. We've always had that. Just
I think the other important thing that
we're
I'd like
trying
to raise here, we're not gonna belabor this for all night long here, but I think one of the other things that we need to really consider is, you bring a volunteer in, let's say there is a sport. If that person coming in is a volunteer and doesn't know the fundamentals of sport, what's the sense of having that person there?
I've also
If you're gonna
been-
teach.
I would have a counterpoint to that.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
let me
why
finish.
Kristen
Yeah,
took
let
over
me
the
finish,
soccer.
please.
Okay, sure.
If you're gonna teach basketball to little kids, it seems to me that if somebody says, I wanna volunteer, and goes in and into the gym and sits there and does not what they're supposed to do, you're supposed to take that little kid and you're supposed to teach that child the basics and the fundamentals of the game. That's how I interpret being a volunteer. Being quarried, being safe for the kids,
And we are
and
all
having that
in the
knowledge,
towns.
having that fundamental knowledge of teaching the kids how to play the games.
Some of it's the building
If
too.
I
because
could.
I don't need a,
So I know there's barriers, I know there's barriers.
If
I
I
know
could
there's
just
building-
respond to that, because I think I can read the room pretty well. I have to respectfully disagree with
Okay.
you that it's more about having those kids be active, being part of a team. Yes, maybe this dad isn't an NBA coach, But guess what? He can be there, he can help them, just learn the importance of being on a team, trying your best, having fun. And then as they get older, I mean, that's what feeder programs are. I will speak personally. The reason that Monomoy is an incredible field hockey team, continuously every year, going on and on and on. I teach the middle school, I coach the middle school. We are 4 years undefeated because we work. Those girls then move on to the high school. They are skilled, they are ready. Guess what gets those girls into the middle school? Volunteer rec leagues that at little ages, K through 4, just getting out there, getting a stick in their hand, messing around, and just having fun. Then they get to those next levels where you do have someone on that professional end to say, now we're gonna get down to the skills. Now we're really gonna bring it home. So that is not, I don't think that whether or not the parent is an expert in the sport is the problem. I don't think that's the problem.
I'm not suggesting an expert.
No, but just even,
I think that, you know,
generally knowledgeable.
You know, from my perspective,
Fundamentals.
from my perspective, I'm not looking for a volunteer to be to just sit there and not be engaged.
No, and I don't think that wouldn't be a volunteer. Yeah, why would they volunteer to do that?
So here's my counterpoint if I can. So a volunteer's not gonna do that. If they're volunteering to coach, they're gonna be involved in coaching. Otherwise, why the heck would they volunteer?
We hope so.
So the perfect example is my wife. The program in soccer was basically recess. She took it over. It is now, okay, we do drills for half of it. Now there's a scrimmage. There's a goal here, there's a goal here.
Fine.
She's teaching K1 and 2, okay, here's the direction you go. It's not hard to teach anyone under 8 basketball, soccer, t-ball, little league. The objectives of the game are there. And then you have more advanced coaching later on, but you have to get them interested in it and know the game, not just here, kick a soccer ball.
Okay.
To your point, Eric, of the fields, that is a barrier.
Yeah.
So how do we fix it?
I was just gonna say, the only hurdle I have for indoor programs, is we've been told that we even have to have staff here for adult programs at night.
Can I ask
So
who said that? Like, is that something we can
The
hurdle?
building management.
The building management, like.
So community center facilities?
Yeah, I've been told that for like our adult, for like night volleyball, we used to have night adult field hockey, anything at night with adults, so we have to have a staff member.
Is it like a
for here.
liability issue?
I think that may be part of it, yeah.
We used to use one of the janitors would be that person.
I see.
Okay.
I just, before I dip out, I just wanted to say, maybe would it be something that could be helpful before, like, you know, a couple times a year, hold like, a 1 hour coaching, like workshop, right? Where like everyone who's gonna be coaching that next session comes in and gets a quick little, because the goal is to make the kids love the sport. They don't have to be Olympians. It's not about, you know, beating the other team into like the ground. It's about making them love it so they wanna come back again and again.
And to that point, when we do have volunteers, I don't just, like, they don't just send in the application, we see them on paper and say, go ahead. You know, I usually meet with the people, like, you know, your wife. We want to make sure that they're going to be okay with kids. You know, not every volunteer is a good volunteer, and not every volunteer is a good volunteer for that specific program. So we want to make sure that they fit, you know. If it's a kids K1, 2, or I don't know, a basketball clinic, you're not going to have your only volunteer, especially if you're not going to have staff. If you're not going to have your only volunteer there, be an 80-year-old man, you know, just nothing against 80-year-old men.
Thanks a lot.
I'm just saying they have to have the same skill set as somebody, you know, more fitting. So.
And I think, you know, just one more thing is the CPR and the Corey check, that can all be checked. You know, the same thing, the link that brings you to the Corey, all right, can you prove you're CPR certified?
And
upload a thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Corey's easy.
And I would say, so I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
I have one of your children in 5th grade now.
Yeah.
And we don't need to be CPR and first aid certified, and we're in a classroom and we're going on field trips with the kids. So as a parent, I absolutely agree that Corey is 100% a necessity. When the volunteers volunteer for field day at the elementary school, the elementary school runs a Corey and gets it back within 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So that's a super fixable
Corey's we do.
Those are super fixable problems. And what can be done now to like find a systematic way to see who's interested in being a committed volunteer? I understand that you're one person. You can't do it all.
And we all do.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
want
yeah.
to work with you.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
We
yeah.
love all of you. We want to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So have you had negative experiences in the past with volunteers and not getting them? And what recruitment has happened? Because I haven't ever seen anything.
So the biggest
online.
thing we're doing with those new flyers, we're putting out the
They're
word.
so
You
much
know, so we
better.
heard you.
Yeah.
We hear what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah,
You know,
that was great.
I want to make sure you guys know
We
that.
appreciate what's
Yeah.
happening since the.
Like I hear you guys, and you know, the social media thing is a huge thing. The MyRec website is going to be a huge thing for us because
Yeah.
it's going to be online registrations too, which is a big thing.
Yes,
So,
and emails.
and yep.
I wouldn't be against a paper flyer.
Well,
Take
the
it to
other
the door.
thing-
I don't do social media. I know.
I'm not
I'd like to
that
be able to
either.
come down and see what's happening, post it
But
on the door.
the website, the rec website isn't social media, you just.
I know, I understand there's things on there now.
Just to
but there
address
wasn't
that,
2 weeks ago.
so one of the things I had written in that document that I think you have, one of the things that we're looking into too is an actual newsletter. A monthly, week, whatever we see fit at the time, so a newsletter too in addition to that. So I did put solutions in there, not that one, but yeah, the other one. Potential solutions, you know, we're not just looking at it like, the problems are not fixable, forget it, you know, that's,
Right.
we want to offer stuff,
And
I
ask
promise
us
you.
if you need support from the town.
Sure.
Come to the parents and say, hey,
Yeah.
can you go to a
Yep.
you know, so we will show up and support you.
Yeah.
As well.
And that's what I'm gonna be asking for, because like I
Tell
keep
us
saying,
when
staff,
you want to
staff,
show up,
staff.
and we will be there for you.
If we get another 40-hour-a-week program specialist person, it will be huge for us.
But can we just have to
Well, yeah,
say
and I put that in there
until we
too.
get there, 'cause
Like,
we want to help you.
I put that in there too, so like when the budget comes up, there's gonna be board of selectmen meetings, finance committee meetings, and, you know, the more the merrier.
And I've talked to
Can I,
the selectmen about
can
even
I,
if it comes to town
it-
meetings,
just-
and we need support from
Ma'am, can I
both.
just, 1 minute, I think one of our commission members.
And this is to the audience. If we get to the point where we can push the Board of Selectmen to get personnel, to hire more people, how many of you will go to your peers and ask them to come to town meeting and vote?
Absolutely.
It's politics. It's the name of the game.
I think
If
so.
you want something, show up to town meeting, identify what it is that we may put together, vote for it.
Cause I'll put it in
By
there.
comparison, Chatham has 5
I know,
full-time,
I know.
5. So we want to get that for you.
So do I,
Staff
yeah.
want to get that for you.
Plus, they have
Yes.
secretaries and 2 facilities managers.
I know.
So that is the reason
Makes
we
a
are
big
being
difference.
outdone by.
It does.
And I've been-
So
Huge
you-
difference.
But
Yeah.
I also have one more question.
Sure,
Have you
sure.
considered using the email addresses available through the school if you don't have a database for students or?
Yeah, we actually are in contact with them about that
Middle
now,
school,
if they'll
high
send
school,
us their database.
And the elementary school,
Yep,
because a
yep.
good old fashioned email, I get updates from all of the surrounding towns
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I've participated in all the time.
And-
Hey, this is what's coming up,
Yeah.
hey, be on the lookout for this, and email is probably still your best bet.
And
You're
that-
not gonna hit all social media.
Yeah, we are in contact with the schools about trying to get their email database.
Yep.
The staffing thing, like you said, I totally agree. When I started here, there was, right before I started here, which was a long time ago, there was like 215-ish hours of payroll per week. Now we have 130. So it's 2 full people they've reduced on me. And I keep getting squished and squished and squished, you know, but there's more and more needs.
Right.
So
Mr.
that's
Chair,
where-
point of order.
Yeah,
Sorry.
This is becoming a brainstorming
Yeah, right.
session
Can
with
we,
the director,
can we-
which is a good idea,
You
but
know
we
we're
are
gonna-
so
we're gonna meet with
off
you.
base.
Okay,
Please
so-
call me, come in, you know, we can
I've
sit
come
down.
in a couple times.
Very helpful, by the way, just this
Okay,
back
thank
and
you.
forth, but we are off base
Thank you.
on the agenda.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
I will be more than happy to give you everything if you, I mean, she's trying.
Okay.
And we need that reciprocated.
Yep,
Okay,
okay.
we will work with you, we'll see to it that we.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, all right, we all set? We all set, folks? Here we go.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Eric, can I just show you one thing? This session needs this thing.
Liaison subcommittee updates.
Oh, okay, I'll fix it, oh, I'm sorry. Yep,
So your
okay.
section 2 needs, I think, right,
That's what I
pushing
showed
it
you.
that way. No worries, I just wanted to.
Yep,
put that
got
up
it.
top
Okay.
there.
Eric,
Yep.
Director's report?
No, we did
We
that.
did all of that. We're on the
Community preservation.
We're down to
CPC.
liaison reports, subcommittee updates, Community Preservation Committee, Commission. David?
Okay, so, we have 18 applications, and all those applications add up to in and around $5.7 million. And if we're lucky, we're gonna have $2.2 million to work with. So, it's gonna be really interesting, and there's gonna be a lot of detail and a lot of discussion on who gets funded. So, that being said, the CPC is now in the process of identifying projects that have been completed and have been done in the past, and we're putting up banners on those projects. We're gonna have stakes in the ground on those projects, and it's gonna say, these projects were put forward by the CPC to the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen, and it's gonna say to the taxpayers of the town of Harwich. The sentiment generally is, as was stated on 2 meetings ago at the Board of Selectmen, they're looking to cut 1 or 2% from the CPC allocation. How that goes, I don't know what the final answer is gonna be, but CPC now, the entire board, is in the process of figuring out how we're gonna advance ourselves and the town of Harwich. So I don't wanna get into the board's view, I don't wanna get into my view, we're just taking it forward. And we're starting with the banners, one's up on the pickleball court, one's in front of Brooks Academy, the other one's at the Mars Line piece, one's gonna be on the fire department, the Bang Street facility, and that's just about it.
So you're suggesting, from what I'm hearing here, is that some of the programs that we have put forth may not be funded this year?
I don't know the answer to that question, and I can't take my crystal ball and shake it and give you an answer.
We've got 3 items that we submitted.
Right.
And,
3 or 4?
Four.
Four items. And we don't know whether or not any of those are gonna be funded.
It's a competitive application.
Where is the bulk of the
That's where
money
you're
gonna
gonna
be
be.
going? Do you have any sense?
I can't say that either. That's up to the board to decide.
So if we're gonna be potentially losing 1 or 2% from the budget, where does that leave the whole budget?
Can't answer that again, that's shaking that crystal ball.
When are we gonna know?
You'll know at town meeting when the Board of Selectmen put the application forward to the town to reduce the amount of funding.
When is CPC gonna make its decisions in terms of what's gonna be funded?
That's not gonna happen until January.
Okay.
We're starting the process now. I forget, the secretary is setting up where you're gonna be coming in for the rec department.
Yeah,
She give you
I believe it's December 19th.
December 19th.
Yeah.
So we have to.
And you probably will be the last one.
So we have to wait until January to get a
Fresh
sense
number.
of where we are with all of this? Is that gonna give us a better benchmark in terms of, where?
It all depends on the finance director.
Okay. Are there any other thoughts around the board about CPC? Hearing none?
No.
Let me go on to Facilities Committee very quickly. I attended a couple of meetings where we finally had a meeting after three months of absentee because we've lost 2 members of the 2 members of the Facilities Committee. They left. We're down to 3 members. And a couple of things that we've done is there's an open house on October 26th, Lend a Hand project. Of course, you got the Halloween program coming up October 31st at 5:30. It's going to be the same drive around as it has been in the past, unfortunately. There's a new appointee, Reagan Wilda is the program specialist, started in October for the community center. She's working with Carolyn Carrie in terms of her role and responsibility. We finally got a night custodian here from 2 to 8. Randy Ellis is a new custodian that has been appointed. And finally, the facilities committee needs 2 additional members. As I said, they're down to three members. They need 2 additional. So if anybody you know is interested in serving on that committee, let Carolyn know. Okay, facilities, fee subcommittee, Eric, Phyllis, and Leah.
So I had sent out the kind of the meeting minutes or notes from our meetings. So there's a bunch of different things we're considering that we've just started talking about considering for possible fee changes. Should I kind of go down the list, or
go ahead,
and you guys can consider it, and we can come back to you again. For the fee structure, we talked about the cap and the possibility of removing or altering the cap, or using a sliding scale type of basis. The reason we're looking at the cap is because of blanket bookings. There's a lot of that. If there's a organization that knows they're going to be using the fields or the parks or whatever it is a ton, and they know they're going to hit the cap, then they book more than they actually need. So there's been plenty of times when people book something and then they're not even there. So that so that's why we were looking at the sliding scale for a cap as a possibility. But we're going to write up a whole draft on these. Probably we're meeting again November 2nd.
Yep.
So these are only preliminary.
Yeah, this is what we talked about. Yep. So the other thing we talked about is using time blocks. So instead of somebody just calling and saying we want to book 1 to 3, there'll be 3-hour blocks. 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., all the way through. That's another thing we were considering. And then if you use 2 or more 3-hour blocks, you pay the full day rate. As it is right now, if you book a full day for a field, for a tournament or a park, it's $150 a day. But if you book a park for 2 uses in that day, 2.5 to 3 hours, it's $40. So if it was 2 3-hour blocks or more, you're paying for the whole day. That also prevents blanket bookings. We talked about separate.
Eric, that's excellent.
That was Leah's idea. We talked about the possibility of a separate fee structure for profit and not for profit. This one may be a moot point. I don't know where it's going to go with selectmen. They're looking into if we should even be allowed to have for-profit organizations book our fields. In the past, it says in our rules that we book nonprofits only, but exceptions to the rule come under Harwich Rec jurisdiction properties. Basically, if it fits, is what we do.
Which will give you an example of that.
So the one that's kind of controversial is the Little Drummer Craft event. They booked Brooks Park for 2 days for a big craft fair. They had they booked, they paid, they met all our applications, permits, everything. They paid the full fee, and I guess they rent out to vendors to come in and have a craft tent.
So they're subcontracting.
Yeah, they're subcontracting. So that's where the issue was. But what I brought up is there's also private groups like some of the AAU teams that book our fields that aren't not-for-profit also. A little different though, because they are youth, one thing. Number 2, they don't charge an entry fee. So you don't pay to go watch practice,
Is the soccer and lacrosse tournament, Memorial Day and Columbus Day, are those AAU?
Yep,
Those huge tournaments?
Those are for profit as well.
Where does the rugby fall under?
Rugby, the same thing. That's not a not-for-profit. So it kind of, I could see where they're coming from with the subcontracted tents within a craft fair and something like that. But what we do though is if a for-profit company comes to us, especially like the Little Drummer, I'll keep using that as an example. If it's up against something, a not-for-profit, the not-for-profit gets priority for that use. They came to us, those dates were wide open, we booked them.
How are you supposed to know?
How are we supposed to?
David booked it, he's a non-for, and he's sublet.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know.
There's no way.
All we've ever been responsible for is booking it, make sure they pay what they're supposed to pay, and that they meet the permits. Whether if there's food, they have to go to the health department. If there's tents, they go to the building department.
How do you treat like this year we had the hookers ball out there for 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
So they pay on a daily basis?
They pay for the full day rate for each
The
day that they're
150
out
the
there.
150
They
a day
pay,
for-
well, there's 3 fields out there.
Yeah.
So they paid $450 per day.
$450 per day.
Because there's the Veterans Memorial Complex,
So
Bassett
they-
Field,
so
and
they-
Kroll
you charge
Field.
them with the entire complex.
And the reason for that is because you can't have something else going on
Yeah.
while they're taking up the whole space.
That's
So,
right.
so they paid.
They took over the whole complex, in
Yep.
other words.
Yep. So they paid that full rate.
Interesting.
To keep going, we also talked about different rates for peak and non-peak hours, but we did talk about this, and we don't think that's a great idea. Leah, again, her idea, to not agree
Right,
with it,
to
not
not.
not the original idea.
No, not, just because peak times are different for every
Subjective,
single group.
yeah.
Every group has a different peak time.
So that'd be hard to enforce, you know. We discussed the need for further deliberation on light use, ways to better track it. I'm in contact with the company of how to exactly to track it via website, so we can have exact amounts. Right now, 90% of the light use is the Mariners, and they've been very good about paying the full rate. So that it's not a huge issue at the moment. We do get the money back for it, but it'd be good to be able to track it to the
Did we
minute.
ever find out what the difference in light bill from the old lights to the new lights?
We're still trying to figure it out through the electric company.
Why can't you take the bill from August of 2020 and compare it?
Well,
to-
we did that. That's what I brought that to you guys months ago, but
But what was the?
it was a
I don't
big
remember
reduction. I mean, I think
I'm
it was.
sure
I
it
think it was like 25% of what the original cost was. Like the
25% less or 75%?
75% less
Yeah.
for
Wow.
LED
I don't know
lighting.
what we're talking
Yeah,
about
That's huge.
I could resend that out.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah.
How are you handling, you know, in terms of that, the White House field? People, you know, some of the organizations that use White House,
Yep.
that's one of the contentions that some people have about the
Overuse, you mean?
Yeah, the overuse in different organizations and so on
Yep.
and so forth.
Well,
How you treat
you know,
that?
I work close with Brian Albee and now being Jared. They're pretty straightforward with me if they think it's getting too much use. You know, we try to scale back. You know, it's mostly Mariners and the high school that use it, but there are those other groups that use it.
They're the 18 over and 30 over?
Yeah, and I think it's important for them to be on that field as well, though. You know, I could see reducing and making sure the field doesn't get overuse, but I don't think we should eliminate these other groups. They are non-for-profit, because it's not just a field, it's not just the Mariners field, or it's not just the Monomoy
We
field.
can't shut the field on August 15th because the Mariners are.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
What are we doing with Brooks, the Brooks baseball field? Are we getting full use of that field?
Yeah, that gets a ton of use.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of AAU teams that use it. The JV baseball team uses it. The baseball clubs at Cape Cod, Lower Cape Junior, Babe Ruth. There's quite a few.
Good.
We also discussed, speaking of White House, the possibility of a premium rate for White House Field. Right now, it is more than if you rented any other field. It's 20 for any other field. It's 50 for White House. I think everything needs to go up a little bit, but I think that could be even more of a gap because that field does take a majority of highway resources and monies, more than any other field. The MyRec season, this is for booking, like a priority list. So when we do the MyRec bookings, who gets priority? So obviously we put all our programs there first. Then we would go with the long-term regulars like the Mariners, the high school, the old timers. And then you know, once that's all set in, the calendars are set, all those are in there, we open it up. And people could come on the calendar, see what's open and book accordingly. Possibility of a slight increase in cook fire permit. We just talked about that very quickly. That can go yes or no. That's not really an important
All
one.
right, let me backtrack. In terms of the reservations
Sure.
for the use of the fields, do you have a timeline as to a deadline as to when these applications should be submitted?
So
if at that date ends, then there is a group that wants to use those fields afterwards or use some of our facilities. Well, how do you handle that?
That's what we're going to work out with MyRec as to when the 3 deadlines will be. You know, like we'll have our stuff in, then the regular, well, our stuff and the regulars, and then there'll really be just one deadline. Then, not deadline, but opening day.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
And then after that day, what do? You just shut everyone down if somebody comes in?
No, after that day, you just leave it open. So people book, and as it books, it fills the calendar, and people can go back on, you know, even if it's halfway through the summer, and say, I want to do a one-day baseball game, and they can see what's open, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Facility use deposit for groups of less than 100, change it from 50 to 100, just to be a little more uniform in what we have there. I think it was 200 and up is 200, 300 and up is 300. So that's a minor one. And then for the rules, we went over the rules and regulations, and there's some things we've spotted out in the get-go. Number 8 is add the requirement to check in with the building department if promotional or informational signs are being used. That's not in there at the moment. Any signage?
I personally don't think you need that because we have a caveat in there that they're responsible for getting all permits, safe public safety. Don't specify, because if you say one building, one department, then they may not see another one. So put a blanket statement that it's their responsibility. That's my.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's why we brought it to you, so we can. Under number 14, needed further review on allowances for, this was, so the little parking lot going into White House, always been a point of contention. So it says coaches and umpires.
Take the signs down.
Take the sign, well, yeah, because people park there anyway. But we had talked about, do you take the sign down, or do you put up a sign that opens it up a little more? Because it is a big parking lot for just coaches and umpires. I mean, it's probably 30, 40 spaces in there.
But the Mariners staff and volunteers all park there too, I believe.
That's true. But there's been plenty of times, like when a BCCC group is there, that the umps will park in there, and maybe a couple coaches. Granted, people do violate that rule.
Well, BCCC is at night, correct?
Yeah, if they're there.
Gates shouldn't be open.
True. But like if there's a daytime, we've had dugout dogs there on a
I thought
Saturday,
they were
you know.
open at night. Well, why would the gates be open, period? If it's at night or on a Saturday,
we could just close the gate
why
down.
would the gates be open?
That's another
Just
option.
before you do that.
Wait, I have.
Oh, yeah, this was.
No, I
yeah.
object. So I'm hosting field hockey down there on Potters.
Yep.
And my parents come down and park because.
True.
No, there's a separate gate.
Yeah, there's two.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
talking
there's
to.
main gate, there's a main gate.
The main
that goes
gate,
down
there's the
Potter.
main
Right.
gate, the White House and the Potters.
Yeah, right.
So the white, the main
gate.
Yeah, the main gate and the Potters would be open and the White House field would be, the White House field gate would be locked.
Oh, okay, but Potters would be open.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a main gate. that
That's
goes
why
down.
there's 3 gates there.
Yes, I gotcha.
Don't have to worry about the
Take back my
dumpsters.
This has been going on for 20 years.
I
the same
know.
discussion.
I'm parking at
That's-
Potters, okay? That's what I'm saying.
Eric,
Oh, sorry. Yep.
don't have to worry about the dumpsters.
The dumpsters.
Yeah, the 2 dumpsters that,
What about them?
When do they dump them?
when do they dump them? Timing?
Oh, locking the gate?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I can ask Highway.
Give them a key.
Dumpsters, okay.
Give them a key, get it to Pine.
Put a lockbox on it.
Another lockbox, yeah.
Couldn't help myself.
Number 15 is change the highway contact person to Jared instead of Boo. That's just a clerical thing. And this one I actually noticed afterwards. We do have this in there, built into number 2.
Oh,
There was
okay.
the one we've been referring to about the exceptions to the rule of nonprofits. It does highlight in there that they need insurance in number 2.
Just for nonprofit?
No, for all.
For all, okay, yeah, for
So
all.
that one, yeah. that
Okay.
can- the only other thing I forgot to put on there, sorry, go ahead.
The caveat to that is it still, when that information's taken, that the policy is made out to the town of Harwich?
Yeah. It's just like any.
That's still,
Oh, yeah, yep,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yep.
How different is this plan that you're putting forth tonight than the one we had? I mean, what's the impact of it all?
The biggest difference is the fee structure, more than anything. The
Up
rules and
or down?
regs are
Up?
pretty
Going up?
But you're still
Up or
working on
going
it.
up. Yeah. Well, I think the
blocks,
fees,
too.
the fees in general,
The blocks for the fields.
Yeah, the
is a big
blocks for
deal
fields.
people.
I'm starting to get some feedback back from other towns in their fee structure. We're way low on field rentals, way low.
On prices, not on
Yeah,
rentals. but
yeah,
prices.
on prices.
Yep.
We have just as many rentals, we just have lower prices. So I think that, my recommendation, and I think the subcommittees from what we talked about is that the fees themselves have to go up per field use. And we have to look into, like I said, the possibility of removing a cap or increasing a cap or having a sliding scale, whichever way you want to look at it.
And I think raising the fees is a no-brainer because it'll go back into more programs, which is clearly.
And the so
Top-notch.
if you raise fees and it becomes a problem for these non-for-profit groups, they do have the right, and it says right in there, to come for a fee waiver or reduction. So I'm not sure if that's going to be you guys or Board of Selectmen, but they can go to somebody to ask for it. And the only one that I forgot to add on my checklist was on the bottom of the form. It says reviewed annually by the Rec and Youth Commission. I would like to put updated annually by the Rec and Youth Commission and add the date on there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a clerical thing as well.
Now, what's your next step, Eric? This is just preliminary. Where are we going with
the next step is I'm getting Phyllis and Leah a list of all our field users now. I'm rewriting that whole thing because it was so outdated. So all our field users now, I'm going to compile all the information from the other towns so we have comparisons. But like I said, it's looking like we're super low on that scale. And then maybe come up with a draft. We're meeting again November 2nd. So we could have I could have a draft for you guys for the November meeting.
Our next meeting is Tuesday, November 28th. You're going to have something ready?
I could have a draft, yeah, for you guys.
I mean,
not be here for that one.
I feel like we could have it pretty close to finalized for approval by then.
Yeah,
It's
oh,
over
yeah.
a month, so.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a draft for
We got,
approval.
John won't be here at that meeting and Frank will be gone.
Florida.
Yeah.
I'll
So
be on the phone. I'll be on the phone.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's that?
You'll have 4.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'll update you after we meet November 2nd. I'll send out another one of these.
Okay.
So this isn't finalized, it's a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We had our first meeting. Yep.
But we should have it finalized by.
Are you going to have it?
Yeah,
Do you think you'll be prepared for the next meeting in November?
Yeah,
Have it,
absolutely.
finalized,
Yeah.
and then where it goes to the selectmen?
Yep.
It goes to
Yeah,
the Board
as
of
long as you
Selectmen.
guys approve it.
Yeah, right.
I got a question on the afternoon program. Are we maxed out? Is it only Harwich kids?
The afternoon program is only Harwich kids. And for the staff we have at this moment, we're maxed out. So we take,
And you have that one staff for every 10 kids, is that right?
by law,
Oh.
it's 1 per 10. We'd like it to be a little better than that, because we found that 10 kids at that age,
So what I'm getting at, I think.
especially
it's
when you
been-
have high school
I think it's
kids.
been said we're higher than like other towns, is that right?
What's higher?
Well, the afternoon fee, what we charge.
The fee that we have right now?
Yeah, you got the, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, under my director's report?
well,
Hold on.
I have it someplace here. With 4 days.
So the Chatham one that was mentioned is a shorter program. It's not as many weeks.
It's not, I did the math,
It's
for
16 weeks?
I did the math from if I had put him in from the first week of September.
Okay.
4 days a week at $10 a day, plus the 2 days that are $25 an extra day because they covered the half days, which your program does not. My amount for that, I think, was $690, and yours was $900, which is
And just
an increase.
to backtrack,
Yeah.
the reason we didn't book the half day is because we do have scheduled programming in there, so
I
we have to
understand,
cancel it.
but-
And then we have another group complaining to us.
I
you know?
understand, but when you're looking at priorities in a town for working families who have paid
Oh, yeah, no, I totally
$900,
agree.
and now I have to take 2 days off work to cover when another town is covering.
And that's why we prioritize our staff to the after school.
I
you know,
understand, but
so.
it seems to me reasonable, knowing that it happens every single year, that it would be something you
Okay.
could plan for
Okay.
to make the accommodations for staff and cancel, what are we talking, sit and fit and senior walking?
And over 55 basketball and senior volleyball.
2 times a year, 2 days,
Okay.
you know, it doesn't seem
And-
unreasonable.
Yeah, okay.
But that definitely was an increase this year
Yep.
in your fees.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we'll get that in the night for the next meeting, again.
The
the next
subcommittee.
meeting.
Do we have the select board's next meeting time? Sorry, I thought I wrote it down. Do you know? Does anyone know?
They usually meet at 6, I believe. The time or the date?
No, the date.
It's next Monday.
Next Monday.
Next
Oh,
Monday.
next Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
every
back to
Monday.
their regular schedule
Yeah.
of every
Okay.
night.
Next
All
Monday,
right. So,
6 o'clock.
The 30th,
The
yeah.
30th, okay, perfect. And the one after that?
November 6th.
November 6th.
Yep.
Okay.
And under
So
roll.
we'll be in for their December meeting with the new fee structure.
All business, the CPC, we took care of that already. Nothing else. Okay, very quickly, anything else around the table that commission members need to bring up?
Nope, I'd just like to once again thank all the people that came tonight to speak.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I gotta write that down, don't I?
Yes.
So that was Dave,